Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project. Are you ready?
All right, friends, and welcome to the Eric McKenna Project. Today, my very special guest is a man of magic. That's even saying it lightly, huh? Entertainer, actor, and yes, he is a magician. Although the culture's trying to change that name, am I right?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Michael Misko. How are you,
it's
sir?
your show, man. Whatever you want. I'm good. How are you?
Here we go. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. It means a lot you came in today.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know what I'm in for, and I just want to get this out for the record. So I did not share this with Michael off camera. That, as a young one and growing up my whole life, people of magic men, magic women, magicians, scared the shit out of me. I don't know if it's the unexpected nature of what's coming. I mean,
Sure.
Do you feel that in your craft ever?
There are definitely people, and I say this with all due respect. There are people of a specific religious nature that certainly say, "Well, that's not trickery is of the devil, or this is not right, or this is wrong."
That wasn't my angle.
Well, no, and I because a lot of people have said that.
Sure,
not a lot of people, but
sure.
I've had a handful of people come up to me and say, "Well, we don't believe in that."
Really?
Well, it's
okay.
If I showed you the mechanics of what I'm doing and you understand that I'm not really
A warlock.
Yeah, I'm not a warlock. I'm not going to take your firstborn, for God's sakes.
Beelzebub, right?
Yeah, but I'm with you. Clowns are scary.
Even to you?
Oh, I don't like them per se. Now look, I'm going to get letters. Don't write letters.
Michael Misko.
Fluffy the clown out there is
clowns.
gonna. Yeah.
Where do you, as a kid though, where do you encounter clowns? You know where you encounter clowns? As a kid, you encounter clowns at the doctor's or the dentist office. And you know where you see them? You see them on like pictures on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And you think of that goofy music, at least for people of my age, the 70s music and the carpenters singing in the background and a funny little clown, an oil painting clown on the wall.
Sure.
And they're horrifying.
Yeah. I remember watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And watching that movie, and he's coming out of the bike shop, and someone stole his bike, and he's having his panic attack, and he looks at this clown who before he was just a happy clown, and now this clown's got demonic eyes, and he's laughing.
That's real life, man.
Yeah,
that's real life.
Yeah, clowns do that.
Okay, so it isn't just me then.
No, but magicians, we're cool. We're cool.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so let's take it all the way back.
Sure.
It's a very unorthodox show, but before we even do that, you just came off the road. You came off the sea.
I did.
Yeah.
I've been on the I've been a cruise ship performer for quite a while. I've been working on ships since 2015, so
really
it's definitely an interesting lifestyle, and I was working on ships pretty hardcore consistently, very, very consistently. I was on the ocean more than I was home for a couple of years, honestly. And that changed last year. My wife and I got pregnant, and she gave birth.
Do not take credit. I'm going to give you some manly advice.
She
not take credit.
She complains. She's like, "Oh, honey, you don't understand. I carried her for 9 months." I'm like, "I carried her for 32 years. Let's relax." Okay.
Oh, that's going to get you far.
Yeah,
right?
I know. I know. She's not listening.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. But we gave birth to our first child in January.
Congratulations.
And so, thank you very much. And so I had to adjust. I just couldn't be gone that long, and not even that long. But being on the ocean is such a it compartmentalizes you. It really boxes you out. You can't. Communication, man, is tough. Now it's changing. It's changing. I've been on the ships since I've left because I still work the ships.
Yeah,
I just
right.
don't do them as consistently.
Okay.
And the internet now is
1,000 times
oh
better.
man, it's lightning speed. But I used to pay something like $40 for 666 megabytes.
You got to be kidding me.
Mega is the one that's smaller than
I'm
giga.
aware.
If you're,
I'm aware.
Yeah,
I'm aware.
That's and the service was crap. It wasn't good.
Well,
either.
I had friends all through like the 2010 on. What do we call this decade? The lost decade.
Sure.
Friends that would go on trips and cruises, and it's funny you could reach them when they hit into a port of
port?
call.
Yep.
Yeah, but while they're on the high seas, there's just nothing.
Oh,
to
it's
me, I
awful.
would love that. I need a break.
It's great for a vacation, but then when that's your life,
Yeah, I bet.
that's your point of contact is that. I mean, we would go to. I've cruised Alaska a lot. In fact, I'm going there again in a couple weeks. I'm going back up to Alaska. But be on the ship, and the service up in Alaska is what you would imagine it to be. So I'm just walking around looking for a coffee shop that has Wi-Fi, trying to figure it out. And meanwhile, you see passengers that are going on hikes and they're whale watching and seeing the bald eagles, and you're like, yeah, it's great. Give me what's the Wi-Fi password? You know.
So I mean, let's vet that out a little bit. So
Sure.
you're on the sea as a entertainer.
Yeah.
Happens to do magic.
Yeah, and it's an interesting lifestyle. So they call you a guest entertainer when you're on the ship.
Okay.
I work for Princess Cruises predominantly.
Okay.
And that's the company that gave me the start on the ocean. I can tell you how I got there.
Yeah,
I mean, let's
please do.
so
Let's do tell.
my background is in theater. I've done magic my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing magic when I was 6, and it was a hobby, and then it became an expensive hobby. Then it became a
For your
really
folks.
expensive hobby. Yeah, I know. And then it became a really expensive hobby, and then I started doing it and actually turning it into something that was lucrative.
Okay.
But you don't go to school for magic. You don't get a degree in magicology. Although a joke I used to say in my show to someone, I say, yeah, actually I'm college educated, sir. I went to Michigan State. But
How'd that go over?
yeah, well, about like here, and you. So I was in New York with my wife, who is also a performer, which is a mistake. One of us should have been a doctor.
2 performers.
I know.
Married.
I know. Well, we're surrounding our daughter with stethoscopes and law books and stuff. Just, stay away from the cards and the music. But we were in New York, and my wife happened to find a listing online, one of those places that performers would go to look for auditions.
Okay.
And it said Princess Cruises was partnering with Stephen Schwartz. Now, if you don't know Stephen Schwartz, he wrote Wicked. He wrote Pippin and Godspell.
Oh yeah.
Partnering with Stephen Schwartz to create a brand new show, a review of his work called Magic to Do. And if you're familiar with his work, Pippin is one of his shows that he wrote, and the first song is called Magic to Do in Pippin.
Right.
And it was this 50-some minute review of Stephen's work, and they wanted the main character needed to be a magician. He was a magician. They called him the Magic Maker. But the caveat is that he also has to have a background in musical theater. So she shows this to me, and it's like, babe, that's you. That's ridiculous. That's not real.
Not real?
Turns out it was
real.
I went to the audition in the city.
Wow.
And you had to get an appointment because
I bet.
they didn't want just any guy that thought he could do a card trick to show up. So they tried.
Every guy sitting at the end of a bar.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Let me show you
Probably
this one,
2
buddy.
miles away from where we are right now.
Yeah. Let me come here. I'll show you this thing with the bar peanuts. But I went and I did some magic for the people, and they said, "Great, thank you. Come back tomorrow." And I went back the next day, and they made me dance.
How'd that go?
And then it's fine. It's fine. I have I don't know if you know this, but I have a degree. I have a minor in dance.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. Just on
Okay.
paper, really. On paper. I have a degree in musical theater.
That is a degree.
That is a degree. But my degree in musical theater, if on paper, based on credit hours, works out to be a double major, double minor. That's a double major in acting and vocal performance, and a double minor in piano and dance.
Well, then you're perfect.
Here I am.
You're their dream candidate.
I know. I feel so sorry for them. But I went in again on the next day, and they put me through the paces and said, "Great, you'll hear from us." And then all of a sudden they were, "Oh, thank you." All of a sudden they were. I gotta catch up to you. Excuse me.
That's what we do on this show.
All of a sudden the next day, or several days later, I finally heard back from them. I said, "Michael, we'd like you to join us." I had the honor of being the original magician, so I created the role.
Wow.
In this show, which was really neat because they didn't have an idea of what they wanted the character to be. They had the bones there, but how this character actually took shape didn't really exist.
Okay.
So I got to kind of show them. And there was another magician that was there with me, my buddy Justin, who took the show out on the second ship.
Okay.
So we kind of got to work together to sort of create what this character became. And prove to them that he did have a purpose for existing in the show. Because there was a point where I went, "Oh man, I could get fired tomorrow." Not because I did anything wrong, but because they don't need me. There's no purpose here yet.
Okay.
And then day by day, the purpose of this character slowly started to show itself. But I mean, I got to work with some incredible people. There was a whole Broadway creative team. Gabriel Barry, he directed Amazing Grace on Broadway just recently. Jennifer Paulson Lee was a choreographer. Mark Hartman was the music director. These brilliant people. Of course, we got to work with Stephen Schwartz. He came in. Right. He was unbelievable. You know, when you're someone of that stature, of that type, he comes in, and I go to walk up to him and introduce myself. Hi, Mr. Schwartz. It's nice to meet you. My name is, and he cuts me off and he goes, hi, Michael. Nice to meet you. He knew all of our names the day he met us.
That says a lot.
Yeah. And he was so easy to work with. I like to tell this story because I think this says a lot about him. There's a song that I sing in the middle of the show, and it's called Just Because It's Magic. And it was written for the made-for-TV movie Geppetto, starring Drew Carey and Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Okay.
And in fact, Julia Louis-Dreyfus sang this song. And it was a song that my character sang, and I really felt that the last line of the song was the most important line in the entire show. It was really the crux of what we were trying to get across in the show, and essentially through this review, we were basically trying to show that magic is it's a little cheesy, but magic is within all of us, and you can do anything if you set your mind to it, and it's not because it's magic, it's because of you, and power of love, and et cetera, and it's about this family unit, and my character sort of watches and observes and leads them in the right direction. And the end of the song, this song takes place during a fight. This couple is having a fight, and I'm sort of there, and the boy is coming to me going, can't you do some magic and make it go away? And I would produce a bouquet of flowers, and I'd say, it's not going to work. Or I'd produce a strand of pearls. It's not going to work. And the crux of the song was, it takes more than magic. Why? Just because. That's the end of the song. So when it was written for Geppetto, it didn't necessarily have the connotation that it had in our production because circumstances were different. And they kept giving me this note that they wanted me to sing the end of this song very rhythmically, very in time. Don't drag it, don't pull it back. But the song was so fast. Just because it's magic doesn't mean it's easy. Very, very rhythmic, or very militant in form. And I couldn't get that line out the way that I felt it needed to be underlined as an actor, right? It takes more than magic. Why? Just because, it just flies right. And it's already going to fly over the heads of most people because they've never heard this song before. Sure. And so they kept giving me this note, and then Steven gave me the note. And he's like, yeah, we really needed to stay on the beat. We really needed to stay on the beat. And I kind of clammed up a little bit because I disagreed. But how am I going to stand there and disagree with Stephen Schwartz? Right?
I get it.
The Stephen Schwartz. What am I going to do? And he could tell. And he was like, and he just finally asked me, and he, no pretense, and he just said, do you disagree? And I said, I just think that this last line functions differently in this production than it did when you originally wrote it, and I really, really think it's important.
Kudos due to say that to him.
And he opened the door for me to say it, and I said, and he kind of wrinkled his brow and like as if he was pondering, and he said, can you show me what you mean? Like really, really show me what you mean? I said, sure. So we ran the whole song again, and I laid it out, man. We got there, and I just punched it. And we were finished with the song, and I looked at him, and he went, you're right.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm sorry. Can we just play this whole scene again? Get that written down?
You weren't like walking on air at that moment.
Oh,
right?
man, it was so cool. But that. I don't tell that story because I bested Stephen. It was not that at all.
Right.
I only had the limited scope of our production to work from.
Right.
He has now 2 versions of the song in his head. So all I did was point out one thing that he might just not have thought of, and for him to say, okay, I think that says an awful lot about him. And I'm telling you, he was the nicest guy to work with. And I had heard that from other people before I met him, and I can tell you firsthand, he was incredible.
That's probably, I hear that story a lot when I work with people in certain fields.
You've heard that story about me talking to Stephen Schwartz before?
No, but the essence of what you were saying. When people meet people of such accomplishment and such gifts, they're very gifted in their field. They are approachable. They generally, and they are not as they might be portrayed.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a reoccurring thing. But again, we're all human, so you catch somebody on the wrong day. I think you catch somebody on the wrong day, then their legend grows from that one tough interaction with one person, then it becomes a stigma.
Right. He was the whole process was incredible. I mean, we workshopped it in LA for 5 weeks,
right?
And then we went from LA to. We had a month off because the cast that was there still had to function as the cast on the ship.
Sure.
So they went and they installed all their other shows. Okay. And then I had a month off and went to the ship, and then we got Hot and Heavy back into Magic to do for another 5 weeks.
Wow.
And we opened it was nuts.
I bet.
Because there's just different things on the ships. Like, for example, something that you would never think about, like these chairs that we're sitting in, they're on wheels. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we were on a ship, each one of these wheels would have to lock. Because
I've never been on a cruise ship. So this is all new to me. All of it.
Well, they're on the ocean, so I'll tell you that.
I know that.
That's
I kind of guessed that one.
I
knew they were on the Mississippi River or anything like that, but, or the Ohio down here. But
yeah,
is there may be some kind
of the Gateway Clipper.
That's not my idea of like a 3-day vacation or 10-day vacation.
Yeah, understood. But it's the same concept, just a greater scale, right?
It's still water.
And so, it's still water is water. And so there were just certain things that we didn't think of, or, there are certain, and the show was based on magic. There was an illusion, and I mean illusion, in every number. And some of them were very dangerous. Some of them were dangerous on land, let alone putting them on the ocean. So there were just things that we had to get in and work out. And I was the magic. At the end of the process, I became sort of like the magic captain, right? The person who was there, the qualified individual that could say, this needs to be worked on this.
Sure.
I was so fortunate to get to work with Jim Steinmeier, who is, to equate that, he is like the Steven Spielberg of magic.
Wow.
If you've seen Lance Burton, David Copperfield, Penn and Teller, any of these big guys, Jim has had a hand in their work. He's a genius. If you've seen Aladdin on Broadway, Mary Poppins on Broadway, what else? Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. He has designed the magic for them. He used to work heavily with the Imagineers in Disney World. He is a genius. Okay. But he's also, as you just said, a human. I had some really cool interactions with this guy. I mean, you walk in and you didn't know who you were more excited to work with. Oh my God, that's Steven Schwartz. Oh my God, that's Jim Steinmeier. And we would work on stuff. And he had about 80% of the show done. Maybe my numbering is off a little, but he might have had more than that done before I got there. And I didn't design anything by any stretch, but certain parts of the show had to wait until they knew who the guy was going to be, until it was going to be me, so that they could say, okay, well, let's work towards Michael's abilities, and let's, do what they could do to design what they needed to do to make me look as good as I could look, because I have a specific set of skills.
Well, sure.
I feel like Liam Neeson and Taken. I have a specific set of skills. I will find you.
You might.
But But and so I got to work with Jim. They just sent me into a room with him, this idol of mine. And he's like, all right,
how cool is that, though?
Oh, man. Well, the weirdest thing was he said, all right, what do you think? I'm like, what do you mean, what do I think?
Your thoughts, yeah.
Well, and we got to points, too, in the process where he was stymied on something, and I had an idea, and I kind of buttoned my mouth. It was almost like with Steven Schwartz. I was like, I didn't want to say anything, but you also look. We're working on the same project together, and the end goal is still the same.
Absolutely.
So I said something, and I went, what about this? And he looked at me, and he went, that's a good idea, huh? And then it was it. Again, I was like, where is that video crew? Jeez. And
that's my whole resume. Now, from now into perpetuity.
Yeah, I got nothing. I just sent 2 quotes in. That's it. The hell with it. But he. And then my other favorite memory of working with Jim was we were trying to make something happen, trying to make it happen, and we couldn't. It just wasn't working.
Right.
And he finally kind of threw his hands up in the air, and he went over to his bag, and he pulled out a roll of gaff tape.
Okay.
Duct tape, right? And he came back over, ripped off a strip, and slapped it on. He said, there, that'll stay. And he looked at me and kind of under his breath, and he went, sometimes magic is just duct tape and bullshit. I'm like, what?
That's good.
What do you mean?
That's great.
And he's so right. He's so right. I can't tell you how many times. Look, all I got to do is make sure the part of the product that you see looks good. You don't have to see the behind. What do you care about what it looks like behind the scenes?
So okay. Look. I've always wanted to ask a man or a woman of art, a magician, a professional magician, this question. I don't believe in warlocks.
Okay, great. Me either.
I just don't. I believe there's physics in life. Science.
Yeah.
So there has to be a logical reason to everything.
Sure.
Not that should ever be shared, because that's where the magic goes away.
Right.
But I'm also a rational human being, and some of the things I see with my own two eyes from your ilk
Sure.
astounds me. Like mind-numbing. Can't wrap my head around it at all. Not at all. Whether it's this close in proximity or it's something even on television, which you're always skeptical on television.
Sure.
But if it's a quote-unquote live show, you kind of put a little credence and, hey, yeah, it's actually happening now. It's how do I say this? I think there's a part of our population that actually believes that something really odd is happening there, and you have some kind of gift beyond skill set.
Okay.
That's there that we don't have. I honestly believe there are people that believe that.
There are. And that harkens back to the people that I was telling you about earlier, which is like, look, we don't believe in this. That's bad. And I could explain to you how everything works, but that kills
Absolutely.
That's not exciting. But there's a reason. Physics exists.
Yeah,
look, I'm not. Yeah. So one of the things I had to do on the ship was I had to teach two of the singers, non-magicians, how to do the linking rings. Okay. You've seen the linking rings. Yeah. Okay. You understand.
I still don't get it.
Right. But you understand how. You understand what the trick is.
Well,
you
two solid rings,
you put them together.
Yeah, physics would tell you it's not happening.
So, what does physics tell you then? What must there be to accomplish
Something
that?
has to give.
Right. So, when I would teach them this, they would have, I would call them witch hands. They would there's a gimmick to hide, and they would hide it, and their hands would like turn into these witch fingers.
Witch hands.
Yeah. And I would say, you got to relax your hand. Yeah, but I got to hide that. And I said, listen, we're not giving away the store here. People are smart enough to know that, as you say, physics exists.
Right.
These two solid metal rings are not legitimately passing through each other. That couldn't happen. They know that there is a trick to it. Our job is just to make it look like it's happening and make them forget about that for a little while. So, I don't know, as a magician, it's sort of, I can't tell you how many times people come up to me after a show, and maybe it's because they actually know, or maybe it's because they want to feel better about themselves, and they'll come up and say, yeah, I knew exactly what you were doing the whole time, but I couldn't see it. And I just go, okay,
I never
great.
said that to a magician in my life. I would never think of saying that.
Cool. I knew what I was doing too. I don't know. Like, what do you want me to say, right?
That makes two of us.
And so, but yeah, of course there's physics, and there's reasons to explain it. Like, there's a reason. Like, if you look at my sleeve here, there's a reason. Like, I keep money there. I keep a coin there. I keep it. Boy, your audio listeners are going to be going, what the hell?
So those listening on audio from iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, you really need to go to YouTube or ericmckenna.com to watch this show.
And that's a Morgan silver dollar. It came from 1879. I got it on my dad's sock drawer. They were in these plastic cases. He wasn't using them, so I took it out. But of course, if there's one there, there's two. That's two, right? But this is where it gets good, because if you have two here, all I have to do, that's coin number one, coin number two. I reach over here, that's coin number two. Son of a... I don't know. I'll do it again. Oh, no, I'll get it.
Come on.
Coin number one, coin number two. Over here is coin number... Son of a... I did it again. Okay, hold on. Watch them both at the same time. Ready? Watch. 1, 2... There.
Oh, come on.
That's coin number one.
Come on. I saw both sides of your hands. That's not possible.
I know,
that's not possible.
The thing. Oh, it's under your drink. Here, let me just grab that. There, that's 1, 2, 3. That's...
Warlock. He's in warlock mode.
Well, I don't know. You know, it's funny too, because I don't know what you want to say about this. Like, look, magic's about perception, isn't it?
Right.
So how many coins do you see?
3.
Yeah, but if you were looking from behind, how many would you say you saw?
I see 2 now.
2, right? Isn't that weird? If you
There's
saw
only-
like that,
there's
of course,
only
if you
2.
put that one in your hand, you give it a wave, that disappears. You just go. It actually just goes over here underneath your elbow. That's gone. And let's see, I can make them both disappear at the same time. That's both coins gone. Just back where they started. One behind one behind here, one behind there. That's
You're in
1,
warlock
2,
mode. I'm sorry.
3. 3 coins. You can check them out. Here, check them out. You look at them. Check them out. Gone. Okay.
I might have got that last bit.
But You know, magic is...
And that is sleight of hand,
That's sleight of hand. That's what that is. That's exactly what that is. There's no... I don't have slots. I don't have skin flaps
I tried
here.
to watch... I mean, I tried. So I'm sitting... For our audio listeners, I'm literally sitting about maybe 3 feet, 2.5 feet away, and I tried my best to follow, and I couldn't do it. I mean, that's skill, and that you should be complimented on your skill,
thanks.
which I absolutely will. It's you're in warlock mode now, but it's you can see where people would watch it and go, that is just crazy. I know there's a rational explanation to that.
There's absolutely an explanation for everything. Here, you want to learn a trick? I can teach you a trick.
Sure.
So I'll do this a lot. If I don't have something, I'll take my ring off, and I'll put it on my finger, on the bottom finger here. So it's on these two, and I say, watch, I'm going to make a jump from the bottom to the top. It's going to happen fast. You ready?
All right, yeah, good. Yep.
You want to see it again? No, I'm kidding. Oh, there it went. There it went. Oh, it comes back down. Oh, see, now that happened fast. Now, for the people that are watching on video, they could just rewind and see how I did it. But I'll teach it to you, and I'll teach you why. I'll teach you why it works.
Okay.
So it's here, and if you're listening, I have my index finger is free, and then the ring is sticking against the second knuckle of my middle finger. And I'm going to make a jump from the bottom to the top. That's not what I'm going to do. That's just what I tell you what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So what I do is this. I move my hand, I close my index finger, I put out my ring finger.
You gotta be kidding me.
And I move it down. And then I come back out and I do that.
So you just change fingers.
I just change fingers. Here, I'll show it right to the camera as best I can. Here's the ring on this finger. You move your hand out, you switch, you come back, you've moved back again.
And the mind's not looking for that.
The mind's not looking for that. And I'll tell you, now that's only part of it. If I just did it that way, it wouldn't work. Here's why it works. There's misdirection. What's the misdirection? Laughter, humor. Humor is such strong misdirection. So I say, I'm going to make a jump from the bottom to the top. It's going to happen fast. Don't blink.
And we laugh.
And then I shift my fingers a little bit. And I say, do you want to see it again? But I haven't done anything, and you know I haven't done anything, so you want to see it again? And when you kick back and laugh, I just adjust the hand, and I do it. And when you see that it's gone, then your eyes bug out of your head and go, and then I just do it back.
Right.
So you have to have the two elements. It's not just doing this. It's, you want to see it again?
Got it.
What? So, and of course, if you do it like this, you put it on your top finger. This is the one that really freaks people out. You put it on your top finger, right? And then you take it off, and you put it right back on.
Because you actually never took it off.
That's right.
Although it sure looked like you did.
Sure did. Back on the thumb.
So okay, let's take it all the way back. Like, what first got you into that? Because to me, there's a lot of dexterity required.
Sure.
A lot of entertainment required. A lot of how do I say this? Interactive manipulation.
Sure.
Communication manipulation, things like that. So how did you know at a young age that was something you wanted to do?
Well, when I saw my first magic trick from at the hands of my grandfather.
Okay.
I wasn't a magician, but he did know a few tricks. I'm not a grandfather, but I think grandfathers that are listening probably would agree that you got to learn a trick or two once you become a grandfather.
Sure.
It's like a rite of passage, right?
I better learn a couple, buddies. So
yeah, right.
I'm probably heading that direction.
and he had this marble egg that he kept in the drawer of the table next to his chair. Mm-hmm. And whenever I would come over, he'd pull it out, and we would play magic.
Okay.
And he would make the egg disappear, and he would pull it out from behind my ear, or sometimes he would swallow it, and then he would pull it out of his belly button. I'm telling you, my mind was blown. 6 years old, mind blown, right? I would take the egg, I'd put it behind my back, shove it into my back pocket.
Catch up, by the way.
I'd put it in my back pocket. I'd come out with my hands empty. I'd say, look, Pap, the egg's gone. He'd always act so impressed, you know? And it wasn't until several years later that I discovered that it was love and not astonishment that he was offering me when I made the egg disappear.
Got it.
Well, he passed away when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
And I didn't really know what that meant. You know, death is difficult enough of a topic for an adult to grasp, let alone an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I was at my grandmother's house after the funeral, and we were on our way out the door, and she stopped me. Now, this is important. This was right after the funeral. She didn't stop my mother. She didn't stop my aunts. She stopped me. You know? She went over to the table next to his chair. She opened up the drawer. She pulled out the marble egg. She came back over and she gave it to me to keep. She said, Michael, I want you to take this home and I want you to practice so that you can be just like Pap. That's it.
Really?
That's it. And you can check it out.
You keep that with you?
I keep it with me.
Look at that.
And it wasn't until several years later that I discovered that
it's a marble egg.
Yeah. that it was, this is quite literally, oh geez, throwing it around.
That's all right.
This is quite literally the only article of my grandfather's that she parted with after his death.
Really?
Yeah. And so I did. I took it home and I practiced, and I checked out piles and piles of magic books from the library. My parents were like, well, at least he's reading, you know. And I finally figured out what it was. It was a coin trick. He just did it with the egg. It's called the French drop.
Okay.
So he could take the egg. I learned how to take the egg and make it disappear without putting it behind my back. There it is. And that was it. That was the genesis of how I got started in magic.
And how old? 8?
Well, I was 6 when he showed it to me. I was 8 when he died. And then I would say somewhere, and that would have been when she gave me the egg.
Okay.
And not long after that, I started doing magic. I started learning magic. And of course, you don't just jump in and start doing,
Sure.
illusions. You don't just jump in and start dealing the aces from the bottom of the deck. Mm-hmm. You start small, and I had books, and I still have some of the books. Some of the books that I first read when I was a kid for sentimental purposes,
Sure.
or even because there's some damn good stuff in those books. I meet a lot of kids on the ship. Mm-hmm. Boy, we've digressed a lot from that, but I meet a lot of kids on the ship, and when I meet them, if they come up to me after the show, and they express an interest in magic, I go out and I shake hands after the show all the time. And if they come up to me and they express an interest in magic, the rest of you better walk away, because I'm going to talk to this kid for as long as he wants to talk.
I think it's awesome.
He or she wants to talk. And I always say, do you have a trick to show me? Or can I show you something? Usually they're too timid to ask if they can show me something.
Sure.
So I say, did you want to show me something? Oh, I didn't bring my deck of cards. I have one, and I carry a deck of cards. I sell on the ship. I have a DVD that I sell. It's just a version of my show. And so I'm always out there, and I have a case, and in the case I always keep a couple decks of cards wrapped, like brand new bridge cards. I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. And then just a regular deck of cards. So if they come up and they say, yeah, but I don't have cards, so great, I have cards. Here, show me, because I want to talk to these kids. I want to encourage them. I want to, if I can help you, mm-hmm. someone help me. Mm-hmm. I cannot pinpoint the exact person that, other than my grandfather inspiring me to do it. Really, it was my grandmother, I suppose, inspired me to do it, because she gave me the egg and a charge, But I can't
absolutely right.
I can't pinpoint the exact person, but I know I had guys that I met at the magic shop or whatever that would encourage me to, let me show you how to make this better. Let me show you how to get better. Let's leave the status quo behind. Let's mm-hmm. get better. Let's progress. Mm-hmm. But you could do it this way. Yeah, but that's hard. I know. And do it, okay? Or don't, and be happy with that. So I see these kids coming forward, and I don't try to vet them and figure out if they really, really want to do this for a living. But I do say, would you show me something? Okay. And chances are they show me there's like 2 or 3 tricks.
Their grandfather's trick.
Yeah. And I said, that's awesome. Can I show you something that'll help make this easier?
Yeah.
And I say it like that. And then
awesome.
Do you want to do it here, or do you want to go away from mom and dad? And they have different answers, and I'll just stand here and we'll walk a couple feet over, and I'll just whisper and I'll say, try it like this, do it this way. Just this one thing. And you see their eyes light up and they go, oh, yeah. Do you want to go back and do it again? Yeah. Or one kid, I'll never forget this one kid. No, I'd like to go practice it again. I'm like, yes, yes, that is right. And then I try talking to the parents, and I say, look, if this is something that they really want to do, please reach out to me. Mm-hmm. Find me on Facebook. Here's my information. Send me an email. Find me on Facebook. Because when a kid expresses interest in baseball, mm-hmm. Your son, mm-hmm. yeah, mm-hmm. you might not know that much about baseball, but it's not hard to. Well, I'm just
not this dad.
Yeah, no, but
I'm sorry.
But chances are yes. You might not know that much about baseball.
There's elements of baseball I have nothing about. But you're right.
But
you're right.
You do know how to relatively parent a kid that's going into sports, mm-hmm. right? It's easier.
No question.
That because it's popular.
No question.
If your son said, I want to be a magician, and of course you're just as supportive
No question.
But how?
How?
And this business that I'm in is built on secrets.
How did your parents? So step back a little bit. How did your parents react? Obviously, when you were 6 or 8 or 10, that's one thing. But when you were 12, 14, 16, still really digging this and getting good at it, how was the acceptance there?
There was never anything other than acceptance.
Very cool.
Never. There was. You could feel. There was a palpable apprehension.
I like that phrase.
But they kept it to themselves. It was. I mean, you know, I'm telling you, I know now. My daughter's only 4 months old, but I worry, right? And
now you're both entertainers. How can you not?
Oh, for God's sake, quit bringing it up. Jeez, rubbing it in, man. But you know, there was an apprehension, and you could feel it because. And then what did I do? I was a magician, and then I said, "It's okay. I'll make a great life choice. I'm going to go to school for theater." Which honestly is a smart way to do it because they were relieved I didn't want to be a magician.
But they do tie together, though.
They do.
You've made it happen that way.
They do, and there's something there. You know, my parents have been nothing but supportive my entire life. Yeah. You know, even if there is initial apprehension, which there never is. At least it's never expressed to me. You know, I may hear about it later. But it's been nothing but support. And so I try to express that to the parents, and I say, look, if he wants or she wants to do this, reach out to me. I will help point you in the right direction. You feel
is it about giving back?
It's a little bit about giving back, and it's also a little selfish. It's about creating good magicians. Okay. Because bad magicians are bad for magic.
Bad magicians.
Look, think about it this way. If you have a company party, and you're hiring the entertainment for the company party, and you hire a singer, a band.
I've done that.
Okay, you hire a cover band or something.
They were terrible.
They were, but would you hire another band next year?
We didn't.
You didn't?
Okay, DJ.
Okay, well, but you still had music, right?
Yeah.
If you encounter a bad magician, chances are
never again.
You're never going to hire a magician again.
Good point.
So I'm
human nature, though.
I want to give. It is about giving back and educating because I like teaching, and I think teaching is one of the noblest professions. And I've never been a teacher, but I've tried to teach. You know, I try to teach, and when I can, and but also with these kids, it's better for magic if magic is producing good magicians. And a lot of times I talk to the kids and I say, where do you learn your stuff? And they go, well, yeah, I watch videos on YouTube. And I don't ever roll my eyes and say, you gotta, that's wrong.
That's with everything.
That's what they've got. And I say, okay, do you read any books?
You didn't have that.
I didn't have that.
Do you wish you did?
It certainly makes accessing information easier, but I was able to develop, and again, with all due respect, I mean this, I was able to develop my own personality and not a copy.
Good point.
That's something else that ends up occurring. You end up, if you see somebody else perform something, you cannot help but try to. Just think about it with music. If you hear I don't know, Hey Jude, for example, how can you not try to sing it that way?
Right.
Because it's so damn good.
Right.
And that's why I like going to books, because there are books and there is text and there is suggested patter or dialogue.
But it's personal interpretation.
But it's personal interpretation.
Yeah,
now, certain things, XYZ has to happen in order for you to accomplish the effect. But you can put your own spin on it. Now, if I'm confused, this is where YouTube comes in. If I'm confused, man, that's just really dense. It's really hard to dissect. Sometimes you'll spend a half an hour on one paragraph because it's that, when you're talking about digits and phalanges and it's nuts, the stuff that we read. It's almost like medical text to a degree as far as complication. Certainly nowhere near as life threatening. But
laughing is good.
Laughter is the best medicine. I'm convinced. And so then I'll go to YouTube. And then I'll look up that specific thing. So, that's what they meant. Okay, got it. Thank you. If I'm stuck, if I'm stymied, if I can't figure out, man, I just cannot come up with something for this, I'll Google, what's Eric McKenna do with this?
Okay.
Oh, cool. Okay, now I'm out of the box.
Got it.
Now it's jogged my brain, and now I've got somewhere else to go.
So that's your description of how you use YouTube. Let me give you an analogy, and then you respond. I learned to play guitar by a good instructor,
Sure.
but also cassettes. I learned later in life. So there was CDs, but my teacher learned by taking the needle on the record player and pulling it back, playing along, pulling it back, and just listening.
Oh,
to
the
figure it
Suzuki
out.
method.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my point to you is, I look at it now, and I'm a nitnoid the surf. I find this fascinating. You'll probably laugh. I take the most complex hard rock musical pieces that I grew up with, imaginable stuff from Kiss and Rush, not Kiss, Rush, Yes, some of the Zeppelin stuff, some Deep Purple, things that are very intricate. And I go on YouTube and I find these kids, and they're usually in other countries, that in high definition are there playing these songs, every minutia of every note. The tone, the inflection, the nuances are all there.
Sure.
And the kid's 8 years old.
Right.
Mind blown. Poof.
Right.
So I think YouTube made that, and I always see, of course, older people say, "Hey, if I had that when I was your age, yada yada yada." But I look back at that and go, "Wow." When I learned, it was kind of like skipping the CD or skipping the cassette tape, but I guess YouTube has been a great informational and educational.
Sure.
Education's a tough word to use, but an informational source for so many to learn if the passion's there.
Right.
Would you not agree?
I would agree. I would agree, and I think as long as you can maintain originality, then there's nothing wrong with it.
That's a good phrase. That's a good phrase.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look, in my show, my stand-up show, Michael Misko, magician, comedian, cracker of wise, is...
What was that again? One more time.
Michael Misko, magician, comedian, cracker of wise.
Mm-hmm. And they can reach you where?
MiskoMagic.com.
I didn't care that. Like, what was it again?
www.misko, M-I-S-K-O, magic, M-A-G-I-C, MiskoMagic.com.
Oh, MiskoMagic.com.
MiskoMagic.com.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. I think we've hit the quota.
There's no quota,
the requisite
man.
quota.
This is my show. If you want to go 45 minutes and repeat the same thing, we'll probably broadcast 2 minutes of it, but we'll do it.
That's fine. Yeah, as long as you can maintain originality, I have no problem with that. In my show, my show is ridiculously commercial. And by that, I mean...
Meaning what?
Meaning... I could. Well, I'll try not to get technical as far because it just won't.
Oh, we can handle it.
Well, okay. No, I'll try not to use the jargon. Is what I mean.
Okay.
There's a trick called the 5-card repeat, where I have 5 cards and I throw 1 away and I still have 5 cards, and then I throw 2 away and I still have 5 cards, and I throw 3 away and I still have 5 cards. 5-card repeat, right?
Okay.
And I open my show with that, with a version of that. It's a very popular trick. A lot of people do it. But the way that I do it invokes my personality. So if I said to another magician, I do the 5-card repeat, I do the cut and restored rope, I do the cut and restored rope is sort of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Take a rope, you cut it, you put it back together.
I get it. In my mind, I'm saying, where have I seen that before?
Right. I do what we would call a bill to lemon. I do what we call a book test. And I do the cups and balls.
Sorry. Sorry.
Would you believe he's the older one, folks?
Yeah, I'm the older one. Yeah, and I'm also 3 down already. Go ahead.
Right. Cheers. I do the cups and balls, and then I end the show with an effect called the gypsy thread. Those are 6 very
like staples.
It's just like a blues scale in E major.
Okay.
Or minor, or E minor, or a blue your C major scale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That's it. But you would play that the way you play it. I present it the way that I present it. So my show is terribly commercial. It's not acerbic. It's not out there. You don't have to wrap your mind around it to figure it out. Which is great, which is a great gimmick for a lot of magicians. A lot of magicians make their... Shin Lim, I'm sure you are familiar with him. He does some of the most mind-blowing magic I've ever seen. That theatrical setting that he presents, and that overblown, dramatic hype that he brings to it is...
The build.
Unbelievable. And I'm not taking anything away from him. But he can't do that everywhere.
Right, understood.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So my show,
it's location specific or scene specific.
Absolutely. If the magic, there's a lot of great magic out there, but if it does not fit in a case that fits under the seat of the chair in front of me on the plane, it's not in my show.
Interesting. So let's talk about that for a second, because I think a lot of Americans
Sure.
grew up in the last 25 years watching Copperfield, and I guess Criss Angel's the latest one now. He's really got an edgy thing going on there. But see, as a consumer of television, to watch that particular item, I look at it with a lot of skepticism, because it's television. There's a level of editing there. I'm not saying he's not creating illusion for that Vegas audience.
Sure.
I'm sure he is. But it's not, to me... Look, I think David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear or something. I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't a lot of like money spent, and I'm not questioning the legitimacy of it. But what you just did here in front of me, with my eyes trying to wrap my head around what's going on, that is organically beautiful to me. That's an art.
Well, thanks.
That's an art to me. Like music, like theater, like singing, like poetry. It's an art. The illusion of that on a big scale coming through a television, or even seeing it in an audience of 300 people, it's not as impressive to me. Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. There are guys, and I have been one of them, and I may be one of these guys again, that would, in the middle of my stand-up show, do a close-up bit with a deck of cards. But I'm doing it in front of 1,000 people, and I've got a camera, and I bring it down, and I present it on a screen.
Sure.
Now, I know some guys have made an entire show out of that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I also know that there are audience members that go, if I wanted to watch TV, I could have stayed home.
Got it.
You know, David Blaine, David Copperfield, Criss Angel, these guys, you know, David Blaine, we have David Blaine, I think, to thank for the resurgence that magic is feeling.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because he came out and he woke us up again with that David Blaine street magic that he did in the early 2000s. All of a sudden he's levitating 6 feet off the ground. Now, without speaking out of school here,
Where'd he go?
He's on tour. He's on tour, catching a bullet in his mouth every night. And he's catching a bullet in his mouth every night.
I get it.
He's not pretending to catch a bullet. He's catching a bullet in his mouth. He had a special mouth guard fashioned. He's catching a bullet in his mouth every night.
Oh my God. I mean,
but that's him. For him, that's...
Did Criss Angel usurp him? Did it come around where, like, we had Blaine, and then 08, 09, 2010, all of a sudden Criss Angel, poof. See that rock star thing going on.
Criss Angel is a different style than David Blaine. They're two completely different styles. Both of them, David Blaine in particular, is an exceptional technician as far as what he can do, although you never know it based on what he presents. Okay. Right? We have him in particular, and Criss Angel to a degree, to thank for bringing magic back into the mainstream. Penn and Teller, certainly. Oh yeah, certainly those two guys.
Odd.
But they're hysterical. What I will say though is that they don't resort to camera tricks. They take advantage of the fact that they are using the medium of television. There's a difference.
No question.
There's a big difference.
No question.
Right? We could superimpose something on the screen and I could pretend like I'm holding it in my hand. That's a camera trick. Taking advantage of the fact that as I'm looking at this camera, you cannot see what my hand is doing up here. You cannot see outside of the frame that we impose upon you. That's different. You know, so when people say, well, that's impossible. Well, it might be impossible if you were there the whole time. Not impossible because the medium that he is for whom he is performing is film. It's television. That's his desired audience. The audience that David Blaine performs for is not people on the street. He's performing for us in our homes. He knows his audience.
Got it.
You have to know your audience.
Angel too. Same thing.
Absolutely. Now, Criss Angel has a show that he does in Vegas, so that changes the rules. The rules are different.
So I'm gonna be careful how I say this to you. So a rock musician that I worked with closely for a long period of time, very popular guy, good guy, is friends with Angel.
Okay.
Developed a friendship with him. And the staff around this particular musician got a chance to go in backstage, hang out, do the whole thing, got a little glimpse of the show, and then enjoyed the show because I guess it's a standing show in Vegas for periods of time, right? And the member of this entourage of this particular musician told me point blank that it is the most mind-boggling thing imaginable, and that everybody is spellbound. They just cannot figure, even in a big scheme of things, even getting a peek backstage, no one can figure out how the hell this guy's doing the shit he's doing.
Right.
I mean, mind blown.
Sure.
Even getting an inside peek into the whole thing, which really probably didn't amount to much,
sure.
I'm guessing. But what is it? Is it more about the entertainment on that level, Michael, or is it really more about the actual aspect of magic?
Well, I mean, when you're paying...
Or does it matter?
When you're paying... that's an interesting question. When you're paying those kind of prices for tickets to a show in Vegas, right? It's you want to feel as though you've experienced something.
Okay.
You started in A and you have ended at Z.
Okay.
And it's been a journey and we've gone there together. I would say that for me, look, I would, if I cannot, there are hundreds and hundreds of wonderful tricks in the art of magic that I will never perform because either it doesn't fit my character, and my character is very well defined, who I am on stage versus who I am off stage. I mean, it's essentially an exaggerated version of me, but there are still isms to my stage character that don't affect my real life. So it either doesn't work for my character, or more specifically, well, and this is also relating back to not working with my character, I can't figure out how to make it funny.
Okay.
To me, if I cannot use it to make you laugh, it's worthless to me. And I mean worthless
Interesting.
in a respectful manner. I don't mean that it is not of worth. It's just, to me, I cannot use it.
To using the element of complete entertainment, then.
Absolutely. I want you to come out of my show with your sides hurt.
Good. I like that.
Because you've laughed the whole time. My show is anywhere. My stand-up show. This is I do a whole bunch of different things, but my stand-up show, specifically if you came to see me on a ship, is about 52 minutes long, and I have that version of that show. I can do that show anywhere between about 35 to 75 minutes.
Okay.
I can do that show.
Okay.
And to me, it should be comedy. Now I have one part of the show where I pull it back and I lift up the curtain and I let you in to me. But it's towards the end, and I've earned it at that point. I don't come out and start trying to touch me and I'll read your mind, or like the Blaine thing or whatever. I don't come out that way. I come out, I'm in charge, I'm in control. This is my show. Welcome, good evening. We're going to have a good time together. Okay, that's enough of that. Let me tell you a little bit about me. And by this point, you are ready to listen.
Okay.
If I started with that, or if I put that somewhere else in the show, you'd check because I haven't engaged you enough. There's another. I do we call it the bill to lemon. I don't want to tell you where the bill ends up, but it's in the title. But I borrow $100 bill from an audience member, and I do it at a very specific point in my show because if I tried to borrow it earlier, my rate of success of receiving the 100 would be much less than it is where I do it, because I have not invested enough money, quote unquote, into the bank of the audience. If I came out and said, "Good evening, folks, welcome to the show, I need to borrow a $100 bill," no one's going to give me 100. I might get a 5. No one's going to. I want 100 though. It needs to be 100. Yeah, I can do it with anything. I can do it with $1.
Yeah.
But there's no risk if it's $1. Who cares if it's $1?
I love that.
A $100 bill. I know at least one person is staying till the end of my show. So, for me, it's about the overall experience. I know I have a lot of good friends.
Yeah.
Good, dear friends. Justin, the guy that I mentioned earlier, one of my dearest friends, certainly one of my closer friends in the magic community. He and I disagree on almost everything.
Okay.
Does that mean that he does bad magic? No.
It's different.
Does that mean that I do bad magic? No. I have the utmost respect for what he does and the way that he does it, but to me that doesn't work. And he has the utmost respect for what I do and the way that I do it, but for him it doesn't work. In fact, we had a show. We did a 2-man show at one point where we played on that.
Really?
We played on that theme.
Okay.
And we introduced ourselves in a clever way to the audience, and you know, he's more of a mentalist. And I'm more of a classic magician. And we introduced ourselves to the audience that way and said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Misko, and my name is Justin Gentry, and I hate magic, mentalism." You know. And then we basically took our proclivities and approached the same trick from different directions. How a mentalist would do it.
That's
how
cool.
a magician would do it. And it was interesting. It was an interesting experiment. And we never got to expound upon it. We performed it twice on a ship, ironically enough. And it was very well received. And we try as we might, we could not convince people that it was literally the only time we'd ever done it, that we didn't work together forever, which is, I suppose, a compliment to us, but also, you know, people think that if you can get up on stage and you can speak fluent, you know, speak clearly, that you must have been doing this for a long time, you know. And it was interesting to see how it worked. And I'll tell you, he and I disagree on so many things that we work really well together, which sounds like it shouldn't work.
Yeah.
But I come at things from this angle and he comes at things from this angle, and somehow we meet in the middle, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, here's the method. Here's how you do it. You know, we have methods, you know, the ways the tricks work, method in our head that are just like floating around up there. And all of a sudden you just are able to, you hear, I have a premise for this. What if I did this, this, and this? And then you're like, oh man, wait. And then it just comes out of your mind, and here you go. I could never use that, but that's a great idea.
Got it.
You know, and so, but Justin, and I won't say that it's not about entertainment for him, but he wants you to be affected by his magic, right? He wants you to feel, I want you to have a good time.
Right.
He wants you to feel
like disturbed.
Something.
Disturbed? Like, I can't figure that out, how they do that,
Yeah.
One of the things that I think that with the proliferation of the internet going way back, but especially with YouTube, like 2007-ish on, 8 on, the illusion thing, street magicians were that, you know, you're walking down the street and they bother you. They don't, but and they are able to do the craziest thing, like here's things I don't understand. And again, I'm not asking for answers. I'm just going to tell you, as an average consumer, this is the things I don't understand. It blows me away. You would meet me in the street and and we talk, and all of a sudden, like, you know, we do a card trick, and you say, "Hey, check your back pocket," and the card would come out of my back pocket. I didn't have that card. I was doing business, or I was hanging out with my kids, or I was 30 miles away 20 minutes ago. How'd that card end up in my back pocket? See, I know there's a logical physics-related answer to that, but that kind of stuff is so mind-numbing. And I think that street performer stuff is, I think it's prevalent again. Maybe Blaine ushered it back. Maybe that's, like you said, how it happened. But that kind of stuff is way more fascinating to me. That one-on-one or one-on-7 interaction compared to, again, you know, making a building disappear or whatever. I mean, there's an element of showmanship to that, and it's grandiose on scale. But does it make me really, really wonder? No, that kind of stuff does.
They're
making sense?
Yeah, it does. You
ready yet?
I'm going to forget your question.
It's the Eric McKenna project, pal. That's what we do here.
The project, yeah. I'm going to forget your question now. You know, there's if I ever wrote a book on magic, thank you. If I ever wrote a book on magic, it would be on theory. It would be on magic theory.
Okay.
Because I think
Are you a traditionalist?
What do you mean?
Houdini.
Houdini was an amazing escape artist.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
Houdini was an amazing escape artist.
He's on my list.
Okay.
Okay.
If I wrote a book on magic, it would be on theory, because I think with a background in theater, which is what I have, theory makes sense to me. If I can't figure out how to motivate something from a theatrical standpoint, I won't do it. If I have to put my hand in my pocket to get a secret something or to get rid of a secret something, but I don't have a reason to go to my pocket, I won't do it.
Okay.
Right? Excuse me. I think that if there is... So let's go back to David Blaine.
Okay.
On his very first special, he levitated off the ground.
Right.
I could levitate for you over here. I could do what he did.
Okay.
I won't, but I could.
Okay.
If I wanted to. No, I'm kidding. But I could. The mechanics.
My wide-angle lenses aren't wide enough to do that, but I would challenge you.
I know. The mechanics exist to do what he did, right? And I would come off the ground, and I would have only levitated. In reality, I would have left the ground, quote unquote, about yay high.
Okay.
But I'd come down off the ground, and I'd turn around and I go, man. Jeez,
so it took something out of you.
How high did I get? About that high? Now that is more than double
what you actually did.
what I actually did. But I'm going like this and saying, how high did I get? About that high? And you're amazed, and I've caught you in a weak moment.
Astonishment.
Yeah, and you're going, yeah. Well, now when you go and tell your buddy what you saw.
Now it's like this high.
The title of my book would be The Fish Was This Big. Sometimes
I get it.
Sometimes the memory of the magic, and this is a quote from my good friend Doc Dixon. When I say a quote, I'm paraphrasing him, but I'll give him the credit. The memory of the magic is sometimes stronger than the actual magic. One of the greatest magic tricks I've never done. There's a guy, an acquaintance of mine, who insists that I had him think of a card.
Okay.
And then I made it appear inside his shoe with his signature on it.
Okay. You're saying you never did it.
I'm here to tell you, I hope he's not listening. I don't want to ruin his...
He might be.
I'm here to tell you...
That's crazy.
That's impossible. I never did that trick. What I did, in all likelihood, and I don't remember it, but what I did in all likelihood was asked him to select a card, sign his name on it, and made it appear inside my shoe.
Okay.
There is a plausible explanation for that.
Okay.
But what he remembered is that I asked him to think of a card. And then not only did his signature magically appear on it, but it ended up inside his shoe.
And that's misinterpretation of the facts over time.
And I'm here to tell you that not only is that impossible, but that is a much better trick than what I could have done. I couldn't have done that.
So it's like that old thing you did when you were in kindergarten or first grade. The teacher would put you in a semicircle, and the teacher would whisper a sentence into one kid, and they'd pass it around. And by the time it got to the very last kid, they'd whisper to the teacher, and it was something completely different.
Sure. Yeah, that's it. I have people that carry. I'll have you sign a bill or sign a card, and I'll see people later, and they'll pull it out of their wallet and say that they have it, and I'll say, I'll ask them what trick I did with it, and invariably, their description of what I did is greater than what I did.
That is fascinating.
The memory of the magic is greater than the magic.
That's fascinating to me. That's fascinating.
And it's not about the trick. It's not about the trick at all. It's about what you can make someone. It's about what you put into it.
But still, you meet someone on the street, you ask them to fool around with cards, and all of a sudden the card you're asking for is in their back pocket. Now, how the hell does that happen? I mean, come on.
Are you sure you're remembering it correctly?
Yeah, it was YouTube, or it was.
Okay. So I didn't have any. You saw that? Okay.
I didn't see it in person. Okay.
Okay, I got you.
Good point. I get it. All right. Point noted. Yeah, it's still. I mean, who were your influences growing up? Like, who were the magicians you admired?
Oh, magician. Goodness. Well, my friend Doc Dixon that I mentioned, it was a huge influence for me, and he is a dear friend of mine now, but there is a slight age difference between the two of us. He's a little more mature than I am.
Mature. By how much?
I don't know. I'd say he's got at least 15 years on me.
Okay.
If not, maybe a little more. I'm buttering him up. I think he's in his 15. I don't know. But
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, I idolize this guy. We worked together at the Greater Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival.
Okay.
In
The Renaissance Festival?
Yeah, it's a whole nother story.
Oh, that's a story. Oh, no,
Yeah, okay.
we're gonna get that.
Sure.
That Houdini, we're definitely talking
great.
about.
So we worked together, but I had the privilege. I was the court jester. So I worked with the horns and everything, right? This was when I was in high school. And excuse me.
What high school, by the way?
Moon area.
Yeah.
Moon area high school.
My kids go there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, they get to go into the new school. Yeah.
One's graduating this year, and one's 2 years away.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Good school.
I loved it. My daughter will be going there, hopefully.
Awesome.
So, I got to watch him. I got to watch him work all the time. If I could make it to his show, I went to his show. And he did something like 4 or 5 shows a day.
Yeah.
And I got to see it. And I got to see what a professional did every single day. And I've told him since that how much, and I don't believe that he understood what it meant to me. And I've explained it to him, and I know he poo-poos it to a degree. But, I asked him a question at one point, and I said, hey, I've been working on this. I think I got it. And he kind of rolled his eyes and was like, listen, kid, you don't just get that in a week. Like, it takes pros years to get to that. And I was like, oh, wow, it does? Okay. And all of a sudden, I started to look at magic from a different perspective. Because of him, there was and we talk all the time. We swap war stories to a degree. In fact, there was something that happened while I was on a ship, and I texted him right after it happened. And he called me right away, and I said hello, and this is all he did.
He laughed.
Sorry, I just had to do that for you. And I'm like, you're right. It's hysterical. I'll never do that again. And some things you can't prepare for certain things until they've happened to you.
Sure.
And this one thing in particular, which I can't get into.
Okay.
But I texted him. I said, hey, you know how this happens? Well, this happened. And he just called me and started laughing. It was just great. So he was definitely an influence for me. And his style is very similar to mine. We both do stand-up comedy magic. Mm-hmm. We both have large
comedy element. So that's unique to me.
Yeah.
Probably not unique to you, but that's when I think about a magician and then performing with comedy on top of it. Mm-hmm. It probably helps to a degree, like you were talking about before,
right.
getting the laughter, getting this
right.
with sleight of hand and all that.
Well,
But
and it's different than being a prop comic.
What's that?
A prop comic is someone.
Puppet?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah,
I'm Mr. Hand.
To a degree, yeah. But I mean, the comedy then becomes about the prop.
Okay.
Now, for me, the comedy magic provides the circumstance for me to have the comedy. I do a trick with a piece of rope. The joke isn't about the rope. The comedy isn't about the rope, but the circumstance that surrounds it. If I went to an open mic night, I could probably do 5 minutes. I could do maybe 10
really?
without magic.
Yeah,
just literally me and a microphone. Probably. I could do that. But I'd be nervous as hell.
Really?
Yeah. I'd be nervous as hell to do it because with the magic there's a barrier between me and you. There's something else.
That's interesting.
And which is also another reason why I don't do the big prop stuff. I don't do the big box illusions because I feel like there's another yes, there is a barrier. If I did the cups and balls for you right here, there would be 3 cups, 3 balls and a magic wand.
Right.
But if I did something like sawing a lady in half, right? Then there's this whole thing between me and you, and that gives me an added protection. Another barrier. So I prefer doing the stuff that is this not smaller stuff, but I prefer it to be about me and our relationship than about the props that are in my hand.
You're close to the audience and what you do.
Right.
You're there. I mean, you're like there.
Well, the
interaction's very tight.
Sure. There are times where I work at a restaurant. So I work at when I'm in town.
Mm-hmm.
So don't hold me to this. Mm-hmm. When I'm in town and available, I work Friday nights at the Cadillac Ranch up at Settlers Ridge.
How cool is that?
Okay. And I'll be there from 5 to 7, usually. And I'll do walk around magic at the table side, which is an interesting animal.
This Friday.
I will be there this Friday.
All right.
I will be there this Friday.
All right.
Although I don't know when you're going to have this
Prepare for
posted.
the onslaught.
Yeah, cheers, yeah.
Oh, no, we'll be
it
on-
just
we'll be
depends
on-
on when you're going to post this.
Tomorrow. So,
then yeah, I'll be there this
yeah.
Friday.
No question.
Unless you're watching this next week, and then I won't be. So
What's the date?
Look at the
Give the
timestamp.
date. We never do this on the show, but what's the date?
Geez, today's date
What's
is
Friday?
the 28th. 28th, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so-
today's May 28th.
The 1st?
Yeah, June 1st. I'll be there June 1st. There you
June
go.
1st. Cadillac Ranch, Robinson, what do they call it?
Settlers Ridge.
Settlers Ridge. In Robinson.
In Robinson, yeah. I'll be up there from 5 to 7. But it's interesting when you do tables.
I'll have a little table there for you.
Great. I'll do when you do magic.
And I'm going to be watching you.
When you do it there, it's interesting because people didn't come to see magic usually. Now, if you heard this, maybe you show up. But people don't usually. They come to have a meal and they
drink.
or they come to
Our drunk audience is easier.
yeah, right. It's so much easier.
Our drunk audience is easier.
So much easier. But it's an interesting thing when I'm stepping into your.
Right.
I'm stepping into your zone, and now I really am up close. I'm actually even closer than I am to you currently,
Right.
because you
Right.
would be right here,
Eating.
right, and I'm standing,
Or drinking.
right, and so that's interesting. The stuff has to be bulletproof in that,
No doubt.
in that capacity. When I do my stand-up show on the ship, I'd say the front row is probably about as close as you are to me.
Okay.
But the back row is about,
Yeah.
it depends on.
1,000 folks, probably? 1,000 folks?
Yeah, the last ship I was on just held just over 1,000 people. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Second nature now, though. No fear, no nothing. I mean, it's just
I get excited.
cool.
If you're not nervous, that means you don't care.
Got it.
And when you're a pro, you have to care all the time. You have to care. It's not, there's an old quote. An amateur magician does a bunch of different tricks for the same audience. A professional magician does the same tricks for a bunch of different audiences.
Yeah.
And
Got it.
I'm
Got
fortunate in that I get to do
Certainly.
And my show is my show because I've done it. I know it inside and out. I know how to troubleshoot it.
Does it ever get any element of the show ever get stale for you? And if it does, is that when you know you need to change it?
If it does, that probably means I'm not focusing. Honestly, because it works. The show works.
Okay.
There are parts of it where I go, yeah, and if it's not working, that means that that it's me. It's not the material. It's me. So I have to adjust.
Because the material's proven.
The material's proven it works. I've gotten the laughs. I know where they come. I know how it works. If people aren't laughing, there's the occasion where you get an audience that's either too drunk to pay attention, or they're too tired, or they're too, they're on a cruise ship. You don't know where you're going, so maybe they've got heat stroke.
Yeah.
And we're in Cabo for the day, and they had to deal with a tender, and they're all seasick, and they've had margaritas, and they're exhausted.
Right.
I have to work harder for that crowd.
Sure.
But it's my job, not theirs.
Got it. They're on vacation.
You, the audience, get to enjoy as much as it irritates me. Mm-hmm. It is your prerogative to enjoy the show however you want to enjoy it.
As long as they pay.
Yeah, as long as the check. But on a cruise ship, you're not there to see me. You're there to take the cruise. I'm ancillary entertainment.
Right.
So
what how did you come about deciding that cruise ships were a good avenue for you to further populate your career?
Oh, they hired me. I mean, that's the answer. When I did this show that I mentioned with Steven Schwartz,
You're right.
it went on to
gotcha.
ships.
Okay.
And
Got it.
One of the
Got it.
contingencies with the contract was I had to be able to present. I had to do the show, Magic to Do, and then I also had to provide them a lounge show.
Got it.
And from there, my show grew.
What did you like better, the stage or the lounge?
I will tell you that theater will
intimacy.
never theater will never not be a part of my life.
Sure.
I need there is as hokey as it sounds. I need to be able to feed that certain artistic part of me. When I'm doing magic, I'm in complete control.
Got it.
I have control over everything, or at least 95% of everything.
Got it.
Excuse me. And I, excuse me again, when I get to do, when I'm in a production show, just like magic to do was. Or I had the fortune of being in Newsies with the Pittsburgh Musical Theater.
I saw that.
You did?
I saw
I was
that.
in it.
Awesome. I didn't know that. I did not know.
I was in it. I was the guy that sold the newspapers, and
I had no idea.
ran the deli, and I was the mayor.
I had no idea. See,
That was
small
me.
world, pal.
So,
Wow.
and I had a wonderful time, time with PMT and with the show and the cast. Wonderful time, but I still had to. I mean, this makes it sound pedantic almost, but I had to do what I was told. I had no creative control. Or I did. That's not fair, because I had several conversations with the director saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And he went, great, try that.
Okay.
Do it. Yes, that works. Keep
good.
it. You know, Trey was a very open to anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when you function differently in that show,
Mm-hmm.
you function as a cog in a,
You're a cog,
in a machine.
as
Yeah.
opposed to it's not your show.
Right. And when it's my show, I make all the decisions.
Right.
So there's a certain there are pros and cons to both sides. When you're part of a cast, there's this family feeling.
Yeah.
There's this feeling of ensemble, of completeness, of wholeness. And when you're doing your one man show, it's you, but it is lonely.
You're out on an island.
It is the pro and the con is that it's you, and the con is
It's you.
So if you don't like me and I have a particular brand of blunt, witty, you know, I got a line for everything type humor. If you don't like that, well then, sorry.
Could you do Could you do magic without comedy?
Absolutely. I have done. I do it in my show. Remember, I at the end of the show, I've earned the right to lift up the mask and peel back the curtain
Okay.
and put the comedy aside.
You earned the right. Yeah. So you've
Oh,
earned.
geez, slow down, for God's sakes. I have a 4-month-old at home.
That's what we do in this show.
For goodness sake. These coughs are going to start turning into belches in a minute.
So, okay. Answer. This is where the actual host actually gets to ask a couple questions.
All right.
Houdini, fascinating to me.
Yeah.
What you love, what you hate, what you don't like about him.
Houdini was an amazing escape artist.
What's real and what's lore? Good one, huh?
Houdini was fascinated with the supernatural. After he was fascinated with the supernatural and debunking mediums and everything. And
Meaning what?
he had a very close relationship with his mother. Very close relationship with his mother.
Weird
I don't
relationship
know
with
what
his
that
mother.
means, but I know that he
We're
had a
entering
close.
the Freud section of the Eric McKenna Project show.
Yeah.
We can leave that alone if you want. But I mean,
No,
there was something odd going on there.
No, he was an interesting man. He was born in Hungary, moved to, I believe it was Appleton, Wisconsin. I think his name was Eric Weiss.
Appleton, Wisconsin.
I think that's
a
correct.
rather
I know it was
random
Wisconsin.
spot for him to land.
I know it was Wisconsin. All of your the magician historians that are listening are going
You're
to write
wrong.
in. Yeah, no, it
You're
wasn't
wrong.
Appleton.
That jackass is wrong.
He wanted to be like the greatest magician in the world, and he just was lacking certain things to make that possible.
Okay.
He was short, stout. He did not have a pleasing speaking voice. He had stubby fingers. He, compared to the great magician of the day, the grandfather of modern magic, Jean-Robert Houdin, who was this elegant gentleman, wore evening tails and really, really designed what we as magicians do today. The structure came from him. In fact, that's how Houdini got his name. He took his last name. His name was Eric Weiss.
Right.
Hungarian born. He took Houdini from Robert Houdin.
Wow.
Houdini.
See, I learned something.
Little Houdin.
Got it.
Right?
Got
and he
it.
took Harry from the Erie native, Erie, PA, Harry Keller.
Okay.
The great wizard of the North, Harry Keller.
Really?
So Harry Keller, Robert Houdin, Harry Houdini. That's where that came from. Aside from the supernatural. Because when his mother
When you say
died,
debunked, what do you mean by that?
when his mother died, he wanted to communicate with her, and
so he believed in the supernatural.
and he
How's that mixed with magic?
He went to all these. Well, he went to all these mediums, and he said, "I would like to communicate with my mother." And he realized that they were the first time he went. He realized that they were. It was a ruse.
Okay.
It was a ruse. They were, the tambourine was moving because they had it hooked up to a trigger on his foot or something.
Right.
And so he made it his mission to travel around and expose these mediums.
Oh, okay.
It almost became his life's work after his mother died. And he said to his wife Bess, "When I die, if there is a way to communicate, I will communicate with you. If there is a way."
Okay.
And you will know it's me because I will say this, whatever phrase that they agreed upon. You'll know it's me. And every year on the anniversary of his death, which is October 31st, 1928. Those magic historians are going to be so mad at me.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it was Halloween, and she used to hold a seance every Halloween.
Okay.
And he never made contact. Never made contact. Now, whether or not that means it's true, that's not what I'm saying. This is just, I'm reporting the facts here, folks.
Physics, science.
Houdini was a master escapist. But even better than that, and he was a mediocre magician.
Okay, let's talk about the escapism. That's what he's known for, right?
Right. And
was it an illusion there, or was it real?
Well, it was real that he escaped.
Yeah.
Depending on how you view it.
Okay.
But there's also what he was better at than escapology.
Is that a word?
That is a word. It is
Cool.
now. It is now. What he was better at than escapology was marketing, promoting.
Really?
Jim Steinmeier, as we mentioned.
Why do I know?
I just mentioned him.
Yeah.
He wrote a book
Okay.
called Hiding the Elephant, or How Magicians Learned to Create the Impossible and Make Themselves Disappear. It is commercially available. You can get it on Amazon.
It's a marketing book, probably, right?
No, it's about magic.
It's a magic book.
It's a book about magic that gives away secrets, but not enough of them for you to be able to do anything.
I get it.
Enough for you to understand what he's talking about,
Understood.
but not enough. And you can get it on Amazon.
How frustrating is that?
You can get it on Amazon. I highly recommend the book. It's actually quite interesting. And there's a story about Houdini in there, and he talks about Houdini, and he mentions that, in fact, Houdini was a mediocre magician, but perhaps his greatest magic trick was creating Harry Houdini. And the way that he promoted him, and the way that he talked about him, or the way that he promoted himself, I should say, excuse me, the way that he used to do this milk can escape, where he would go into this big milk can, and the lid would be put on and water in there, and he would escape. After 20 minutes, he would escape. Well, after 40 seconds, he would escape, but he would sit back there for
Of course.
another 15 or 16 minutes before he would.
It was building the
suspense.
The angst.
Yep. And, this is back in the day when ladies would swoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't believe it. Although, one day, he had this great idea to partner with a beer distributor.
Ultra today, by the way.
He had this great idea to partner with a beer distributor, and he was going to escape a milk crate, a milk can full of beer.
Okay.
But he almost died because he didn't take into account the fact that that as the beer would carbonation that was carbon dioxide. And he almost, because there was space in there,
right,
to breathe,
right,
when it was water.
It's filled with carbon dioxide.
He almost died. He literally almost died.
Wow.
And there's a common misconception that he died doing the Chinese water torture escape. That
I never heard that.
Where he would get lowered in, and he died inside the water
How
torture
did he
cell.
die?
He died from an appendicitis. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yeah, he used to boast. Like I said, he was short and stocky. He was very thick.
Right.
He used to boast that he could take a punch from the strongest man.
Okay.
And he would when he would do it, he would tense up,
clench,
and he could take that punch. He was a very strong man. After a show one night, a young student came back and said, "Hey, Mr. Houdini, we hear it's true that you can take a punch. Is that true?" And he said, "Yeah, it's true." And this kid just hauled off and socked him in the gut. Now,
burst his appendix.
Burst his appendix.
Wow.
He died of an appendicitis.
What an unceremonial way to go.
Right.
Or ceremonious way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's almost better if he died in the water torture.
Now, which legendary then, right?
Yeah. Well, there's another magician. His name was Chungling Su, who did the Chinese water. Did the bullet catch.
Okay.
And he died one night doing the bullet catch. Like he died.
It's shot in the head, or
yeah, he.
the bullet struck him, or what?
Yeah. Well, there was a gimmick. Yeah. Of course, and there was something that had, and this was done with rifles, and there was a gimmick to it, and the bullet didn't catch him. There was shrapnel basically that got into the rifle.
Shotgun?
No, it was no. That's the point. There wasn't apparently the gun was not cleaned as it should have been.
Got it.
Right, and he was
scored it somehow in the chamber. Yeah, I get it.
And he died. I mean, magic's dangerous, man. That's why I stick to ropes. Ropes and cards and cups and balls.
So we're not going there.
Like a child.
I know, I can't help it. It's the beer. I can't help it.
Yeah.
So, so Blaine suspends himself a decade and a half ago, or maybe 12 years ago. He suspends himself in a plexiglass see-through container above Times Square. Or where the hell was he?
Oh, the plexiglass container. That was him buried in water. He buried underwater for 7 days.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
Right. He did that, and he did 3 days inside the block of ice.
So those are real things, right?
Yeah. He really does.
So his endurance. There's no magic there. It's like it's just
idiocy. No, I mean that. Yeah, he really does it. He really does it. There's a great magician. Another way you were mentioning people I looked up to.
Yeah,
there was another magician. His name was Tom Mullica, who was the greatest bar magician that ever lived, or at least one of the greatest bar magicians that ever lived. And he had this routine where he swallowed a pack of cigarettes. He would light the cigarettes. He would take them. He would one at a time take them into his mouth, bring them back out, smoke them, take them back out. And he had, I believe, 12 cigarettes in his mouth. He would take them into his mouth. He would just bring his mouth around them, stuff some napkins in there, and swallow them. Now that's a magic trick. Don't go.
Full disclaimer.
For goodness sakes, don't go doing that. Don't go doing that.
Swallowing cigarettes will kill you.
Yeah. David Blaine, before Tom Mullica died, asked Tom if he would teach him that routine. And he did. But David just wanted to know the mechanics of how it worked. He wanted to really swallow the cigarettes. And he did. David Blaine had a routine where he would drink a gallon of water, then legitimately swallow a pack of cigarettes, thank you and good night, and then go upset himself after the show.
Wow.
I mean, sorry to ruin the surprise, but like,
why?
You know, that's exactly.
That's weird. That's odd.
But David Blaine is also the guy catching a bullet in his mouth.
So explain that to me. I've missed all of that. What's going on there?
He's doing a bullet catch, but he's actually doing it. He had a mouth guard fashioned that he puts in his mouth, and it's now the rifle that fires is like a .22. It's not any, you know, it ain't no
high power.
It ain't no BB gun, but it's not.
I get it.
It's not the most powerful weapon in the world.
Right.
And he had this thing fashioned.
AK-47, right?
Yeah, he had this thing fashioned, and he has a laser sight on it, and he's the one that does it. The thing is sighted, and he looks he has a mirror, and he sees the beam in his mouth, and he pulls the string, and he fires it in his mouth.
What would possess you to take that risk?
You'd have to ask him.
I'm guessing you're not doing it anytime soon.
Oh, no. No. Well, that's why he pulls the string. No one on his team they would accept the culpability for.
So as a kid, you see these old videos where a guy would shoot like a gun, big long, like looked like a rifle of some kind, and he would shoot like an apple on this like young lady's head.
Sure.
And I figured that one out. A little explosive by the apple, and the gun's shooting blanks. I get that. But then you see a guy with an archery set. He's got his bow, right? And you see the video of that, and he lets the bow go, and boop. I mean, like, you never know what's like feasible and what's not feasible.
Well, that's why it's such good magic.
It is good
because
magic. It is good magic.
Is that possible?
Right.
Yes. Is it possible to sharpshoot with a bow and arrow an apple off of somebody's head or whatever? Pop the balloon. Is that possible? Yes. Probable.
Dangerous. 100%.
Is it probable that they're doing that every single time?
Right.
Okay, do you just perform this once? Like, what's your rate of success here?
You're gonna run out of like victims at some point in time, right? You're gonna end up in jail.
What's your rate of success? You know, what's your okay? Well, 99% of the time. So if you're the volunteer, if you're the person that's getting shot at, you're like, wait, is this the time? Is this the one? You know,
I'm not sure that pays enough, Michael.
Yeah, is this happening? Here we go. Like,
So you seem to be a student also of history of magic in this country. So was there a point in time where, like, I think back to the witch trials of like Salem, and magic's always kind of danced around that nonsense of spiritual lash. I mean, was there a period in time in this country where magic was forbidden?
Okay. So we happened to have touched on things that I just happen to know a little bit about. I am not in any stretch a magic historian.
We're having a conversation
to the degree where I could certainly speak on that. What I do know is that, again, hearkening back to the very first thing we said at the beginning of this
the religious
episode is there was that I don't understand it. It must be of the devil.
Because I don't understand it.
And there's a very famous poster that where there are there's a magician. I think it was Dante had the first one. Again, the real magic historians are going to write in and tell me I'm full of it. But Dante, I believe, had the first one where he had imps, like devilish imps, on his shoulder. And there are some guys out there that have tried to recreate that poster, modernize and recreate that poster with their own image, which is kind of cool if you think about it. Paying a nice homage to the old time and whatnot.
Right.
But there are people that other people won't touch it or say it's a bad idea because, well, you don't want to promote that. You don't want to promote. You're promoting that this is of the devil. It's not. It's just an image. It's a thing. An image has the power that you give it, right? And some people give it a lot of power. And I would say that, I don't know for a fact if there was ever a time where magic was prohibited.
You would think so.
There was also a time where drinking was illegal too. So.
We don't prohibition.
Yeah,
that's a bad word here.
Yeah. Right. So I cannot accurately answer that question, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, people, the Salem witch trials. If you think about that, people died.
Insane.
People died because they. I mean, women died because they were hysterical, quote unquote, because they had an orgasm, for God's sakes.
Right.
And they couldn't point their finger on what would make her act like that. She's a witch.
Yeah. Insanity.
I'm not a witch. I'm your wife.
Insanity.
Yeah.
Insanity.
So,
I mean, have you ever been encountered in your
by
career
a witch? No.
I hope not. But have you ever been accosted, or have you ever been somewhere where? Listen, there's a lot of religious zealots everywhere. So you're in a ship. I'm hoping everybody's having a good time. Or have you ever been accosted by those who obviously have a very I hate this word, but ultra conservative bent toward life, and you are the devil, or you are of nothing healthy. You are not of anything healthy.
If I have, it was certainly something that didn't matter enough to me.
Good.
To
glad to hear
put
that.
any credence to it, and which is not to say that I don't. Look, you are welcome to whatever belief that you want to have, and just like I'm welcome to have the ones that I have. And if you're going to start pointing fingers and spouting, if that's what you need, okay. Well, I'm not going to stand here and take it.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. And I bring that up because in my prior life, a lot of the musicians I worked with were of the hard rock nature. And we would all, in very frank conversations, we would talk back about the early 80s, the 70s, and so forth, where they were labeled. Now, they the record companies kind of, they bought into that whole thing, the seediness of it all, but the stereotypes were just really tough for some of them to break.
Sure.
It took a long time to realize, hey, we don't worship Satan. There's no upside down pentagram on the floor. And,
right.
But it was entertainment. But ultimately, they benefited from it from popularity, but eventually it became an albatross around a lot of their necks, and they didn't like it.
Well, I mean, you're looking at, I'm an actor. I'm a heterosexual male with a musical theater degree. I mean, and
Understood.
that's not
Understood.
And I don't say that lightly either. I don't mean to. There are people that get labeled or certainly in worse.
Yeah, no question.
In worse ways than that. But oh man, if the worst thing that I had to put up with was a misplaced gay joke. I'm doing okay.
No question.
And that's it. Like look, this is what I do for a living.
Right.
This is how I do it.
Right.
I'm here to make people laugh. I'm here to have a good time.
The comedy element's great, though. That's a great aspect of your show.
Well, thanks. I think it's fun because if we're not, I don't know, especially as every day goes by, things become more and more serious in whatever capacity you want to look at it, and it's. People want that escape. People want, my uncle and I used to get into a disagreement as it pertained to theater. We were talking, and this was back when I was in school and I knew everything. My mother said, your son's about to go to school, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother said, just a heads up for you, my mother said that she never hated me more than when I came home for fall break my first semester.
Of course.
And I'm like, what do you mean, Mom? She said, because you knew everything, and there was nothing.
That's called freshman
that I
intelligence.
Yeah, right. I didn't just say she hated me, but she was like, God, you were so annoying. I have no recollection of this. But
of course not.
Yeah, why would I? But my uncle and I used to get into a disagreement about a specific piece of musical theater, Sweeney Todd. Okay?
Ooh, that's tough to watch.
It is tough to watch, but it's a brilliant piece of theater.
The gore is tough to watch.
The gore is tough to watch. It's about a guy slitting people's throats. But if you look at
Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp did it in the movie, The original was Len Cariou.
Yes.
And then quickly taken over by George Hearn. Part was written, Mrs. Levitt, the female role, was written for Angela Lansbury.
I did not.
Written for Angela Lansbury?
Yep. Wow.
Yep, Mrs. Potts, y'all.
Very informative show today.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Keep drinking, pal.
We used to get into this disagreement about Sweeney Todd, and I would say, man, this is such a great show. It's such a great show. And he said to me, he's like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I would say, well, what do you mean? And what do you mean? What do you mean you don't like it? What do you mean you don't like it? God, it's got all of this, and it's great, and it's epic, and it's sweeping, and the music. And he said, Michael, if I want to go out and see someone cut someone's throat, I'll go outside and I'll go in my backyard. I'll go in my backyard and I'll look down the street. And you never... excuse me. And it turns out that if you never know what someone's experience is before they get to where you are at this exact moment. Right. So, it turns, and he had said to me on numerous occasions that he grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, quote unquote.
Okay.
He was like, I don't need to see that. I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done, now maybe not to the extent where it's slitting people's throats, right? But I've seen that. I don't need to see it. Well, what's your favorite show? His favorite show is Man of La Mancha.
Okay.
Why do you like Man of La Mancha? Because of that song, The Impossible Dream, The Quest. This is my quest, to follow that star. And I'm here I am in college going, oh, God, what does he know? Right?
Life perspective, though, right?
Life perspective. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Life. With 21, I'm 21 years old. Right. I'm out in the world. I'm flexing my muscles. I used to have those, and I'm peacocking, strutting around.
And you're edgy.
I'm hot stuff. Yeah, or trying to be.
You think you are.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. You think you are. And you come back and like look, I'm 33 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That is not by no stretch is that aged. That is not midlife yet. That is nothing. But still, the perspective between now and what
Sure.
12 years ago was when I
Sure.
turned
You
21.
had 20 years on me.
And I looked, well, you look great though.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone ever
I
tell
love
you?
this guy.
Anyone ever tell you look like Garth Brooks? Do you ever get that?
He's pudgy though. Don't tell me that.
No, that's not what I said. But you got the hat thing. Like you said that, I didn't. I'm thinking of Garth
I'm
Brooks
wearing
with like the
hats forever.
American
Yeah,
flag,
no,
like
he's-
the greatest
Garth
hits.
is awesome. I love Garth. I love Garth.
And well, geez, now what am I supposed to say? Hey, the other day someone told me.
There's worse people that you could say I look like.
The
right?
other day someone told me I was like the Zach Galifianakis of magic. So
Ooh.
I'll take it. You know, whatever.
You'll take it.
But
He's made a lot of money.
that's right. I wish I had his
So's
picture.
Garth.
Right. What are you bitching about? Come on.
Good point.
So
Good point.
So perspective. I got to do the show. I got to do Man of La Mancha.
Cool.
I got to do Man of La
So did
Mancha.
that change your attitudes?
Well, you know who my first phone call went to
oh yeah, of
when I got the
course,
show.
of course, your uncle.
Yeah. And I got to do the show, and I got to sit, and every night I got to sit, and I did it here at the Pittsburgh CLO.
Cool.
Ron Raines was Don Quixote. Ron Raines of, was it Bold and the Beautiful or General Hospital? One of those big, one of those big soap opera stars. He had the most incredible voice, and I got to sit there on stage and listen to him sing that song every night, and I got it.
Wow.
But hindsight's always 20/20, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not even sure how we got there, but perspective is everything.
It is
Life
everything.
perspective is everything. You know, if I held up my hand and I asked you to describe what my hand looks like, what would you say?
And
Yeah, but you tell me anything about it?
your lifeline is
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what you're not going to mention?
What?
This freckle back here.
Can't see it.
Couldn't see it.
Right.
It was my perspective.
Got it. Same hand,
Same hand,
different perspective.
different
Yeah, I get it.
perspective. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I still don't know how we got to that.
That's
Another
good,
one
though.
of my idols.
That's good.
Another one of my idols was Harry Anderson.
Okay.
You know him?
Yeah.
Harry the Hat from
Yep.
Cheers.
Yep.
You know, he was cast on Cheers before Ted Danson. Just
Get
this little
out.
tiny part. No.
Really?
Yeah, one of the producers saw him.
Wait. To be the bartender?
No. Just cast as Harry the Hat. That
Okay.
that
Yeah.
grifter,
All
right?
Yeah.
They're
all grifters. So
they knew they knew that they were writing this show called
Okay.
Cheers, and it was about this
out.
bar and this cast of characters, and they looked at Harry Anderson, who performed as Harry the Hat. That was his character.
Yeah.
And the producer said, "We can use him. I don't know how yet,
Okay.
but we can use him."
Interesting.
And so they cast him. They hadn't even cast Ted Danson yet.
Get out.
And he was cast as, on Night Court. He was the judge on Night Court.
Love that guy.
But Harry Anderson was not an actor, right? He was a magician.
I didn't get that part.
Well, he was...
Come on, man.
Okay.
Anyways.
All right.
Anyways.
He was a
So
magician.
we doing this show.
And so he
was very dry.
Yeah, very dry. Well, he's great. He made a great straight man, right?
Yeah,
and
no question.
He was
No
cast
question.
as Judge Harry Stone, but you know the judge's name was not originally Harry. It was John or George or whatever.
Who changed that?
They did after the first episode when they realized that he wasn't answering to that name.
That's great. Now he was a magician, and why is he
One of the greatest.
So why is he a hero of yours? What made him that noteworthy to you?
His character was so vibrant. He wore a Borsalino hat and a silk painted tie, and he just had this essence, this je ne sais quoi, this
The thing.
yeah. He was cool
Got it.
because he was cheating you, maybe.
It was cheating. Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like there was just
That's
always,
great.
That's
great.
He was like the Willy Wonka of magic, and that's a really drastic comparison to make because Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka
Sure,
was so iconic,
sure.
and
Yeah.
Harry Anderson was nothing like Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. But Gene Wilder would not do the role. He said he refused to play the part of Willy Wonka unless they allowed him to enter the way he wanted at the
I
beginning.
heard that.
Okay.
I heard
and you
that.
remember how he enters?
I can't remember.
Okay, so he comes out. Everyone's excited. Willy Wonka, and he comes out and he's limping with the cane.
I remember
And
that.
he's limping with the cane,
Yeah,
and then he sticks the
yeah.
cane into the ground. And he walks away, and he starts this slow fall forward, And he turns it into a somersault, and he hops up, and he goes, ta-da. And that's the end. And he said, I'm not doing it unless you let me do this. And why is that the sticking point? Because he said, from that moment on, you will never know if I'm lying or telling the truth.
That is brilliant. Yeah, I get it.
You'll never know.
Wow.
You'll never know if he's being serious. And that was part of the allure about Harry. Let me tell you. Let's sit down and let me tell you a story. It's true, mostly.
What does that mean?
Yeah, and it was just such a strong character. But then on top of it, he was such a good thinker. There's another quote about magicians that say most magicians stop thinking too soon. Yeah. If I came out and I said, here's a deck of cards, here's this deck of cards, and I'm going to do a card trick for you, and here, take a card. Go ahead, take out a card. Look at it. Show the camera or show it, whatever. It doesn't matter. There it is, and you go ahead, put it there. Put it there, and I'll find your card very easily by just snapping my fingers. Was that your card, the 9 of clubs? Did I get it? Okay.
Bastard. You bastard.
Now, if I would have said that that's the trick, that's it. Great, it's done. That's done.
Okay.
That's the end of the trick. But what if I kept thinking about it?
Okay.
What if I kept thinking about it? So let's take your card, and let's have you sign your name on it. Go ahead, take the pen, give it a tug, pull. Sign your name across the face. All right, now that's your card. That's unmistakable. I'll take the pen back. That's how I got it in the first place. Now, that's unmistakably your card, right? That's the only card in the world that looks like this, unless you make a habit. I've
never signed a card before, ever.
Well, right. A lot of things people haven't done until they did it for the first time, so welcome to the club. Okay.
All right.
So, if I take your card and I put it into the center of the deck, now it's not on top. I haven't done the move.
Right.
It's in the center. But if I give it a snap, looks like that. See, now I get it up on top with your card.
Bullshit.
Your card comes up.
Bullshit. I call bullshit. That's not possible.
It is. Why?
That's not possible.
I'll do it again. Put it into the center of the deck right here. Into the center. Goes into the center with a snap. Your card comes up on top of the I'll do it again.
See, this is the stuff that drives me nuts.
I'll do it again. Your 9 of clubs, your signature on it. Into the center of the deck.
That was a 4 of clubs.
No, that's your 9 of clubs, your signature on it, into the center of the deck.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Now, all I have to do, give it a little whoop. Now, it's not on top. I
You didn't shuffle anything.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that 4 of clubs again. Look, it's not on top, but if I just give it a little blow. There.
Oh, come on.
Get it on top of the deck. Now, look, this is the interesting thing, because originally, I could have just stopped with the 9 of clubs, but isn't that a different trick now?
Yes.
Honestly, it's the same trick.
Yes.
Right?
Well,
but here's what
not really.
But here's what changed.
You added an element to it.
But before the show, I had a wallet, and I put something in the wallet that might be of interest to you. I'm not sure. It might be. It might not be. But not this wallet. This wallet. The inside wallet. And inside this wallet, there is a card. You want to go ahead and reach in? Take it out?
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. See, that to me is mind-numbing.
See, magicians stop thinking too soon. If I would have just said, was that your card? Great, thank you. Next. Next.
He's in warlock mode now.
Yeah.
He's in warlock mode.
I can do that behind my back. Here, you see this? Do that behind my back. Ready? Watch. And back up. Yeah. You want to see what it looks like?
Okay.
But
see, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where like you have a card and they would go to this young lady in the street, oh, it's in your back pocket, or like, you pull out your wallet, like, how's that possible?
Right. Well, that's the thing too. It's like that was what was so great about Harry Anderson. So he just thought the hell out of stuff, and he figured it out, and you would never see it. You'd never see it. Yeah, I don't mean you wouldn't see the move, right? I mean you wouldn't see the wheels that were. You just have no idea the work that went into like that card in the wallet. Now that's not my creation, that's not my invention, but the work that went into manufacturing the idea of getting that card into the wallet. Genius. But you'd never see it. To me, I just reach into my wallet and Here's your card.
Yes, that's so as a consumer, that's mind-numbing to me. That's good stuff. That's what gives you guys like that, like, wow, like, how did that even possible?
Sure. No, I get it. But there's also like, this is now this is with 2 rubber bands. Now you could have given these to me. You could have gone to your junk drawer over there, pulled them out, and handed these to me. Okay, and I only say that to really emphasize to you that these are not gimmicked in any way, shape, or form. Okay, now look, and it's because it's not about the prop, it's not about the trick, and I'll show you what I mean. These rubber bands. Now look, that makes a complete circle. You see that? My 2 fingers are through there. It makes a circle. If I take this other finger and place it in here, now those are 2 complete circles, and they're combined.
Right.
Now you'll notice that it can't come back through. It cannot go over this side. It cannot go over this side. Correct. Cannot come back through. Cannot go over either side. But if you rub right in the center.
Oh, bullshit. Bullshit.
Comes right through.
Wow.
I can show you again. We'll do it one strand at a time. Watch. One strand at a time. You see it's stuck there. Cannot come back through. Cannot go over this side. Cannot go over this side. Watch. That's 1. That's 2.
Oh. Get out.
But I can put it in your hands. Take your index finger, stick them up, point them at each other.
I guess.
Make a fist.
Okay.
All right, reach forward just a little more. All right, now look. You have the best seat in the house, right?
Yep.
If I take this, pop it over here, as long as you don't let go.
No, it's not going anywhere.
Right. It cannot come over this side.
Nope.
It cannot come over this side. If you piss me off, I'll just shoot this at your face. But, it can't come over either side. Right? Watch.
Warlock mode. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right? And you can keep them. Those are rubber bands. So you can keep them. Right? It's not about the trick. It's not about the props. That's what I like. That's the type of stuff that I like to do. And
that's so much more genuine to me than something I watched on TV.
Right. Well, I mean, if you went down the street, the next 5 or 6 or 7 guests that you have on here, ask them just before you start rolling the camera. Have you ever seen a magician live?
Probably not.
Live.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Why is that?
Nobody needs a magician. We're not. It's a variety art. Why would you see one? Where would you see one? Live. Company Christmas party, maybe? At a restaurant?
That's a good question. Television, quite frankly.
Sure.
That's all I see.
If you're going to see him live, doesn't happen.
Why is that?
Today, people have an expendable income. If they're and they're careful with where they put that. And so we could go see this magic show, or we could go out to dinner. I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily have the answer to that question. But if you ask people, have you ever seen a live magician? The answer is probably no. And if they did, if they did, it might be Uncle Joe.
At the family reunion, right?
Doing some tricks, just doing a couple tricks.
About David Copperfield, what's your thoughts on him?
He's incredible. The stuff.
Is he the real deal, like both with illusion and like organic magic?
Well, he's got an incredible team. Okay, and I mean that to the extent where he doesn't do it alone. He is very smart and he's very well rounded, and he's a great magician. But he has a lot of very smart people working for him also. Okay. He's got a brain trust, and he's able to, and he can afford it, and he's got the ability to tell these people to say, hey, I'd like to do this. What do you guys think? Great, let's all sit and talk. And they talk and they figure it out, and all of a sudden he makes the Statue of Liberty disappear. Or an ocean liner, or whatever.
But that's, like you said, that's almost, with today's special effects, that's almost like negated with television to me, in my head. As a consumer, like,
sure.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, do that in front of me like that, that's so much more impressive to me.
Yeah, well, the Statue of Liberty is a bit big to bring into this room. But
my point, is like, it's still television to me.
Yeah, sure. I understand that. I've seen Copperfield live.
You're impressed. As a magician, you were impressed.
Oh, yeah. He's great. His show's flawless.
Really?
It has to be. He's Copperfield. He's branded himself.
Okay.
It has to be.
Okay.
If you went to see David Copperfield and he didn't deliver, how much longer is he going to be David Copperfield? You know what I mean?
I know, but there's just, I think I'm expecting too much, though. I mean, to me, I'm not impressed by the. Maybe if a car disappeared on stage, I get it. Maybe that's something. That's something.
Man, I'll tell you, he's got convincers. I saw him when he was here in town. This would have been years ago, and he took a trip to. He was on stage, and then he went to Tahiti, and then he was back on stage. Now, did he really go to Tahiti? No. But I sure as hell believed that he did.
Really?
Because I'll tell you what I don't know is where the hell he went. I don't know. I watched him. I got to go on stage with him.
Okay.
While he did the 13, which is an illusion where he takes 13 people, he puts them in a box, big box, where they have chairs and everything, and they disappear, and they reappear at the back of the theater. I was on stage. And
you watched it happen. It's hard to figure out. Huh?
Mind-boggling.
But there's a natural law, physics, natural science answer
sure, they
to
didn't. Did they really
There's
disappear?
No warlocks. Yeah,
no, they didn't
warlocks
really
involved,
disappear.
right.
But man,
yeah,
who cares?
Yeah, how'd that happen?
It was exciting.
I love that. See that as a consumer, I love that.
Yeah, what did you feel at the end of that? Like that's
this guy.
I know what I felt, which was,
how's that possible?
When was the last time you felt that?
So, do you think that's what happened earlier on? A century ago when the lady saw it in half trick.
Sure.
Where it was like so horrifying in theory in the mind of the consumer, but you see that she's okay and she's just curled up.
Well, there's one magician. Who was it? Ricciardi?
Don't tell me someone killed somebody.
I believe no, he didn't kill anybody, not that I know of. But he would leave her. He never put her back together.
Wait, what?
He had this illusion. I think it's Ricciardi.
Okay.
He had this illusion with a big saw, like a big. Just imagine a big
handsaw,
arms. Yeah, like
arm saw,
a chop saw, right? Huge though, for
two man saw.
Yeah, but like gigantic.
Okay.
Right. And he put a girl on the table, straps her down, no cover, takes the saw, takes the saw, cuts her in half, blood and guts everywhere.
Oh. I never seen anything like that. That's crazy.
Curtain comes down. Good night.
Wait.
Now, did he really kill this girl every night?
What's this guy's name?
Ricciardi, I believe. I know something else Ricciardi did. Ricciardi used to end his show with a levitation.
Okay.
He would levitate a woman. Up, 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 up. Into the rafters. The curtain came down. Thank you. Good night.
That's kind of weird.
Right?
That's kind of weird.
But what do you feel after that?
Like disturbed.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And that's like, okay, now, so circling back to what I was saying before about the differences between myself and my friend Justin. That's the kind of stuff. I'm not saying he wants to walk on stage and saw a lady in half and leave her there. But you left that theater feeling something.
Yeah.
You had to.
You're a little bit disturbed.
You had to formulate an opinion on that.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
That's weird.
I don't know.
Has a magician ever died in the course of doing, really doing like their act?
Tommy Cooper. Tommy Cooper died on stage.
Who's that?
British magician.
Okay.
He wore a fez. He
Damn Brits.
He was a big guy. He died on stage and he collapsed. And in fact, and I don't say this for you to go looking for it, but you can see it. You can find it. There's video of it. Because they were filming the act, and he collapses on stage, and he has a heart attack. By the time that they got to him,
it
was too late. The other magician that I mentioned earlier, Tom Mullica, was a bar magician. He was great. He was just a. There's no way to really describe this guy. You'd have to look him up, and I encourage you to do that. He's really incredible. He's a clown. He's a clown in the true sense of the word clown. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Not in I put on a funny red nose.
Like clown. Stephen King's version of it, right?
Right. And he used to run this place in Atlanta called the Tomfoolery. It was a magic bar. And he would always work, and he would work the center. He worked every night, and he'd work the center of the bar, and he never poured drinks. He had 2 bartenders on either side that would do that. And he said that there was an occasion twice where he passed out while he was back there. And he fell down, passed out, collapsed behind the bar. And he said it was minutes before anybody actually got to him.
Part of the act.
Because he's such a clown. Yeah. He's always hitting his head on this or bonking his eye with that or blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
And he said it was a long time, minutes before anyone actually went, wait, are you okay? And he had passed out.
That's crazy.
You know? So, as yet, the worst thing that's ever happened to me on stage, knock wood, is I do a bill to Lemon. I take a bill, I borrow a $100 bill from someone in the audience, I make it disappear.
Right.
And then it reappears later in the show inside a lemon.
Inside a lemon.
Inside a lemon. I have to cut that lemon open. And, you know, lemon rind can be tough.
Mm-hmm. Cut yourself.
Well, yeah. And so I was cutting the lemon open, and the knife slipped off the rind, and it cut my finger. Now, it wasn't bad, but I still cut my finger, and I'm still bleeding, right? And it was okay until the lemon juice hit it.
Ouch. And you need dexterity for your line of work,
Thankfully,
right?
It was the end of the show, but I was no longer okay when that lemon juice hit. Oh,
a little
man.
painful. And you said that eternal smile you have is kind of like,
that's like
gritting through your teeth, right?
Oh, I even made a comment. I'm like, oh, lemon juice. And people who knew, like, there were people in the back of the theater that had no idea what happened. They couldn't see it because I didn't say anything.
Wow.
So, slip. Oh, I cut myself. You know, just kind of under my breath almost. People in the front, they could see the blood. They saw what had happened. And I went, oh, lemon juice. And even those people were like, ooh, like they knew it. Although, I had people come up to me after the show and go, do you cut your finger every night?
People think that stuff.
They do. Well, I'll tell you, I was back when in my theater days. I was doing a show called Sanders Family Christmas, which is a small ensemble show. That it's about a family that It's about a family that sings worship songs together, but like banjo, guitar, that sort of like hillbilly style. And they went to a church to witness. They went to do a Sunday night witnessing.
Right on.
And I was the pastor of the church. That was my character, Reverend Mervyn Oglethorpe. Mervyn Oglethorpe. That was his name.
Right.
And I was.
Did you come up with that name?
No, I did not. It was written in the script. And he was on the stage, and we had a thing, and it was a Christmas show, and we did this song in the show called "Christmas in Other Lands," and I said I had written it all together, and it was about how people everywhere around the world celebrate Christmas, and how the Eskimos do it is nose to nose, nose to nose. Celebrate Christmas like the Eskimos, you know. And I had a spear, and I thought I was real clever, and the spear gets shoved into the deck, and then the brother comes over and helps like pull it out because Mervyn's a little weakling, can't do it. And one particular night he pulled it out, and it got jostled, and it went into my leg.
You gotta be shitting me.
I wish
you got speared in the leg?
I was.
A live show?
Yeah, live. There were 200 people in the 178 to be exact. 178 people in the audience. Did you break character? No.
Oh,
because
good for you.
I'll tell you why. Because the style of the show was fourth wall. There was no fourth wall. The audience was the congregation of the church.
Got it.
Now, if this was something where we were displaying something where there was a fourth wall, there was a distinct divide between the actors and the audience, might have been a little different story. But here, we were aware of the audience. You would be sitting there watching, and it would not be uncommon for me to, sir, you are inside the house of the Lord. Would you take off that hat?
Got it.
You know,
put your cell phone away.
Yeah, but you got these newfangled devices. you know, and because it took place in like the 50s.
Got it.
But it was a cute show, fun show, great group of people, and I literally got stabbed in the leg. And because of the style of the show, we all had pocket handkerchiefs.
Oh God!
And so I took mine out, and I asked the other actor. I said, "Can I have your pocket handkerchief?" And I wrapped my leg up. I literally fashioned a tourniquet for my leg on stage live, and one of the songs was. The song that we sang before it was called "On the Battlefield for My Lord," and after the song was over, and so my character sort of functioned as the pastor of the church, functioned as the MC for the evening, right? And so people saw this happen. People saw it. It now is the elephant in the room. They saw my pants had blood on them. They saw it.
Wow.
You cannot
unsee that.
Unsee it, and
Right.
you cannot ignore it
No.
as an actor. So the first thing I did after the song was I called attention to it. And I just went,
Naturally.
well, folks, I know we were singing about being on the battlefield for my Lord, but I took that a step further, and I actually was, as you can see.
Well, that worked though.
I am bathing in the blood, you know, and they took it as a joke. And after the show, I had people come up and be like, "How do you get the blood out of your costume every night?"
Oh my God, they didn't believe it was real. That's crazy.
Bonkers.
Did you go to the hospital for that?
No, I didn't have to. It just so happened that there was a friend of mine happened to be in the audience. This was this was at a theater that I worked at in Kansas.
Okay.
Abilene, Kansas, at the Great Plains Theater, and the only professional theater between Kansas City and Denver.
I bet.
And I worked there for a number of years, and a lot of the community were friends.
Sure.
And it just so happened that a friend of mine was in the audience, which was not an uncommon occurrence.
Yeah.
And they were a nurse, and they came and checked out my leg, and were like, "You know what? A butterfly Band-Aid, and you'll be fine." You know, maybe I could have gotten stitches. It wasn't like a gaping wound, but I definitely had a cut, and I definitely...
You didn't break character.
No.
That's a sign of a true professional.
Oh, well, thanks. I wanted to make sure the check cleared.
I can imagine.
You know, well, you never know. You know, there's things that happen in the... You know, my stand-up show is always... You know, it's scripted. It follows a path. But it's also... You know, I don't want to say magicians invite hecklers, because we don't, but by nature, we challenge.
Okay.
And what does a heckler do? They challenge. So we almost,
you're a
in
comedian
essence,
too, so you have both of those going on.
right? And so we almost, in essence, provoke a heckle to a degree. So if you are not scripted and tight, the heckle can slip in. And
how do you handle
that? Quickly. I'll tell you. Okay, the best way to handle a heckler. There are steps to it. Because sometimes it could be funny.
It's like alcoholism. There's steps to it, the whole thing. Fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on the 13th step.
Right on.
Relapse. It's terrible.
He's joking.
Terrible joke. There's the first step to handling a heckler. The first step is evaluating. You have to quickly, and I mean quickly, evaluate whether or not it's worth calling attention to it. Because
so are they a threat or not?
It's not even about if they're a threat. It's just like my leg getting cut on stage. Everyone saw it. I had to address it. It had to be addressed. Okay?
Okay.
If the heckler's sitting in the front row, well, his voice is coming at me, not at the other 1,000 people. Certainly, unless they shouted it very well, certainly the people at the back of the theater did not hear what they said. Right. So in a split second, you have to evaluate whether or not this heckle is worth listening to, or is worth acknowledging.
Okay.
Right?
Are you that time hoping it is?
No. Look.
Or do you not want to deal with it?
And again, with all due respect, I don't need your help.
I don't need your help.
My show works, right? My show is... Louis C.K. is famous for saying, "Don't help me."
Got it.
This is a one-man show. It's scripted. You're interrupting me. Shut up. You know, other comics and gay... I have one of my dearest
I've
buddies...
seen it.
His name's Steve Cowett. He's unbelievable with engaging with the audience. He's the type of comic that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and the stuff that happens in between. He's one of the, hey, where you from, guys?
Got it.
And he can
that
just rip.
has to be so hard.
And
though.
I try to do it, and I do it to an extent, but I can always go back to the magic. He's just got a microphone.
He's hanging out there,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
He hangs out there for a long time. So the very first thing you do when someone says something, because you hear it all,
I bet.
is assess immediately whether or not it's worth going there. And the next thing you do is you ask them to repeat themselves.
Oh, okay.
Ask a heckler to repeat themselves. Because sometimes they're not trying to challenge. Sometimes they're just having a really good time.
Sure.
And they thought of something
drunk.
funny and they want to...
And they're drunk.
Yeah, and they're drunk, or they want to say something, or they want to add, and they feel like they're helping. There are malicious hecklers and there are non-malicious hecklers.
Interesting.
Neither of them are ideal.
Got it.
But one of them is less hurtful than the other. And so you assess, and if you said something, and maybe what you did is you said it to yourself, and you just accidentally said it too loud, and you didn't realize it. You didn't even think that I heard you. And then I go, "What did you say?"
I go, "No, nothing. I'm good."
Never mind. You're like, "Oh, okay, good." But the other reason you ask them to say it again is, first of all, if they say no, never mind, well, then you just move on. But if they repeat it, what they're doing, now I've got a line for it. Now I've had another 5 seconds to think of something to say.
You're buying time.
And now the people in the back of the house heard it. Because if you heckle me and no one else hears it and I lay into you, I'm a jerk.
Right.
But if you heckle me and I go, "What did you say?" and you repeat yourself, and then I lay into you,
you're a hero.
I'm a hero. That's true. I am a hero.
Yeah.
And there are times, there are heckles that are tough to beat. Kids are tough. When kids as a group are tough, but kids as a group heckle as a group.
Yeah.
So that's different, and that's a whole different animal.
I bet.
When you're doing a show for adults, which is what I do, I don't do kid shows. It's a noble art. It is an art that is not for me. I don't do them. Now my show is family style.
Sure.
I don't swear in my show.
Right.
There's some double entendre, but if those kids get that joke, that's not my fault. You know,
your parenting sucks.
Yeah. That's not me.
Shame on you.
So there is double entendre, but it's still a clean show. The show is squeaky clean. And if a kid heckles me, because Art Linkletter, right? Kids say the darndest things. Well, what am I gonna say to a kid and still keep the audience on my side? Because I could. Oh man, the kid says something. There's 1,000 things I could say to shut him up. Sure. But I don't. What if he cries? What am I gonna do if the kid cries?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm up shit creek without a paddle. I can't do that. So you have to handle the kid, and you do. And on a ship, I'll always say, I'll look at the kid and I'll be like, and I'll acknowledge that. Usually visually, I'll just acknowledge to the kid, and then to the audience that, okay, here we go. Like I need in a look. I try to express that I want you all to be aware that I'm tiptoeing now. I say, cool. Where's mom and dad? Oh, did they need alone time? Okay. The kid still has no idea what that means, but the audience gets it. Or we're on a ship, and
that's great.
What's your name? Tommy. Tommy, they have a great excursion going on at the back of the ship. It's snorkeling by the propellers. A lot of fun. It's a great time. They have bungee jumping off the smokestacks is a lot of fun. It's like the kid, clearly he's not going to go do it and hurt himself.
Right.
And the adults get. Now if the kid keeps, and I've also said, "Where's mom and dad?" If they're not there, I've said, "Where's mom and dad?" in hopes that maybe if mom and dad thought that sending Johnny up to the front, just go enjoy the magician. We'll go stand in the back. Maybe someone is going to come down and
grab
deal with the kid, or at the very least, now I've acknowledged the fact that the kid is being bothersome.
Yes.
And maybe someone else will be like, "Son, maybe you should
keep your mouth shut," right?
Or the next thing I would do is say, I'll acknowledge, and I'll look back at the audience and I'll go, "I just want you folks to know that I have officially exhausted my PC material for the show on Johnny here."
That's good.
So and it's that acknowledgement.
Sure.
And by that point, the audience is now on my side against this kid.
Right.
And there, there's other great. There's a magician that has a great heckler stopper, and it's not funny at all.
It's not
but
funny.
It works.
Okay.
He's doing his thing, and a heckler hits him with whatever line, and he looks at the guy and he goes, "I just want to finish." And it works because the audience gets it.
Yeah.
Because in that exact moment, the audience goes, "He's at work right now."
Yeah, right.
There is something to be said with.
Diffuses it, yeah.
There is something to be said for, "I don't come to the toll booth and tell you how to do your job." That's demeaning.
Right.
But
Right.
it still does get the point across.
Sure.
That, and not effectively, I might add, but it does express the opinion that I'm at work.
Right.
I just want to finish. I just want to finish. I want to get done. I want to be. Please leave me to finish.
And those that get it will laugh at that.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, there's bouncers.
Even for the 12-year-old.
Yeah, I've never, and I knock wood as I say this. I've never been accosted. I've never been approached. But I don't. My type of personality on stage. I also don't. I'm not an insult comic.
What was the toughest one? Do you remember? The toughest one you did encounter? Ooh.
Yeah, I do actually. I do remember. There was.
Here we go.
Okay, well, there's two. There's two.
I want to hear them both.
Okay, there's a guy and a girl. So remind me of the girl afterwards.
That's
okay.
right.
So there's this guy. He was a bit of a. I get a guy up on stage, and I say, I need the help of a gentleman who thinks he's a pretty funny guy. Now, usually this guy doesn't raise his own hand. He's typically pointed at, poked at, prodded by someone else that's in the audience. A lot like you were right there, sir. Because typically that guy doesn't raise his hand. And I generally don't want the guy that's going, "Me, I think I'm hysterical."
Right.
I don't want that guy.
Right.
I want the guy that everyone else thinks is hysterical. So I got this guy up on stage, and usually what I do with this person is I say, "Do you have a short, family-friendly joke that you could share with us?" I bet a rousing round of applause would get you up here on stage. Come on, let's give it up for Eric. And Eric comes up on stage. "Do you have a joke that you've prepared?" "No." "Oh, well, thanks for coming prepared. I appreciate that, Eric. How about if I tell you a joke and then you tell them and take all the credit for it?" That's usually how it goes.
Okay.
I had this one guy come up on stage. Now, and he said, the only joke I can think of is Obama.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ouch.
Now, I'm not saying anything about anything.
Yeah.
But immediately, everyone listening to this formulated an opinion.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yep.
I'm not here to expound on politics.
Right.
I'm not a politician.
Right.
I'm certainly not on stage doing my show to expound a political viewpoint or opinion.
Correct.
I immediately lost 50% of the audience.
No doubt.
For a joke that guy told. That wasn't even a joke. For something that guy said.
A word.
I didn't say it, but who lost the crowd? I did. Right?
That's tough.
And the audience did exactly what you would expect. Half the audience, I mean, look, let's call it spade. Half the audience applauded or laughed.
Sure.
And the other half was like, "Ooh." Yeah. And even
or boo.
Or boo. Yeah, and even part of the audience that would have agreed with that statement still went, some of them were even like, not the place. Not the place, man.
Stupid.
Not the place. And I took a moment. Thankfully, the audience reaction was visceral. Mm-hmm. And I took a moment, and I was working for Princess Cruises at the time, and I stepped forward, visually acknowledging the fact that we've all cringed at what he just said, and I said, "Michael Misko, the magician, and Princess Cruises do not condone or endorse any political candidates, and you are blah, blah, and I just expect," and I was able to get some of the people back.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a heckle that's not even a heckle. That's just something you have to deal with.
That's the polarization of this country.
Yeah.
How the fuck fuck did that happen?
I don't know, but here we are.
It's
and
not
we
productive.
Here we are, and we have to deal with it.
Yeah, it's life. It's life.
And so I stay away from it. Look, people come for theater, and I put magic in there. Theater is escapism.
Right.
I have a friend who does a Trump joke in his show, and he follows it immediately with a Hillary joke.
It's too contrived for me.
It is. And I asked him once why he does it, and he was like, well, you hit both sides and then it's fine. I'm like, why do you have to hit him at all?
Right.
Why do you have to hit him at all?
They're coming to see. They're trying to escape it.
Exactly.
Look, they want to see CNN. They don't want to see Fox. They want to be gone. They're done with it.
Which comes back to my uncle and why he likes Man of La Mancha and not Sweeney Todd. Right.
Okay, I get that.
I want to get away from that.
I get that.
Why would I?
Good point. Good point.
Why would I do that? Even if it's a funny joke, even if we were at a point where we were able to legitimately laugh at these things, I'm still going to alienate somebody or polarize somehow, some way. That's not my job. My job is to entertain.
Did you ever notice though that it seems like it seems to me like ever since I was a little kid, that the nighttime shows, which they're not magic, it's just comedy, Carson,
like late night or
they do go right there though immediately, and the writers are, I guess they're starting from material and they look at the political thing of the day,
sure,
and they make a point of that. But and I'm not saying leaning one side or the other. It doesn't matter to me. That's still the source of their
they know that
stuff.
They know their audience.
And they want to hear that. They want to hear that. I mean,
well, they know their audience. They know who's watching it. They know that what is it, the Nielsen ratings or something that come out, and they know who they're performing for, and they go to the lowest common denominator. And I don't mean that in a degradative sense.
No,
I mean,
it's a tactic.
Yeah,
right?
They know who they're working for. Hollywood, in general, is a liberal entity.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. That's what they know. You're certainly not watching the news when you watch Jimmy Fallon. I love Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, me too. He's funny as shit.
You're not watching the news when you see Letterman when he was on, or when you watch Colbert. They have viewpoints that they expound, and that's their show. Just like. So
let me ask you this: is it as someone who's obviously you're in media, you're in entertainment, you are a entertainer.
Sure.
Are you able to because I think a lot of Americans can't do it, which I don't get. But can you take the comedic value or the entertainment value out of something that you may not agree with on a quote-unquote, I hate the word political, but even like a philosophical bent? Can you take comedy and humor and laughter where it comes from, regardless of what you may perceive to be as the overall bent to it? See, I've learned to do that, which I know is a very deep question. And I've got friends that think I'm nuts. Can I do it? Yeah, can you do it?
Yes, I can. I
don't think a lot of people can.
I would never present it.
No, not you personally. No. Can you do it as a human being? Can you take the comedic value, the entertainment value of a performance, even though you know it's probably coming from a philosophical bent that you just might not really align yourself with?
But man, that's funny.
That's
I don't care who
funny
you are.
ass shit right there.
Well, all comedy's observational.
Saturday Night Live to me is hysterical. Even there's multiple incarnations of casts. In the end, Lorne Michaels the genius, and I love
absolute genius.
Quite frankly, I love the non-political stuff more. But you know what? I think some of the impersonations are hysterical. I don't care about the bent. Can you make me laugh?
Right.
That's why I tuned in.
Well, the good news is with Saturday Night Live, yeah, absolutely, they make fun of everybody. That's why Sacha Baron Cohen is such an effective comedian.
No question.
Borat?
No question. No.
Look, you're gonna look.
I loved it.
You got your opinions about Borat.
I loved it.
But you know what?
It's crude.
He made fun of everyone. He made fun of everybody. Everybody got picked at on that, and it's just observational.
Right.
It's just taking your own redundancies or
it's kind
whatever.
Of like Seinfeld, right? I mean, this show is really
it's a show about nothing.
But it worked.
Yeah,
it worked, and
it is a lot like Seinfeld. And I mean, Seinfeld has his own brand of comedy. That's people refer to that. Like, well, what was he like? Well, kind of like Seinfeld, observational. Did you ever notice that?
But he didn't invent that. That goes back to Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh,
that goes
sure.
way back. I mean, like,
hey, Rodney, I had a fan club, but they disbanded the other day because the guy died.
I mean, I go back and watch him on Carson. I die.
Oh, he's hysterical.
I die watching that stuff.
The Master, Don Rickles.
Oh, you know what?
You can't do that today.
Well, okay,
he could. Up
you know
to his
what?
dying day, he could do it.
Let's talk about that. But let me tell you a little aside. I saw Rickles perform in '93 / maybe '94, open for Sinatra in the Pittsburgh Civic Arena in the round.
Wow.
2 rows back from the center in the pit. Loved it. Felt horrible for Sinatra because of the fact he was on his last legs, and there was teleprompter. I love Frank. Rickles,
yeah, me too.
Same age as Frank, maybe even older. Spot on, sharp as a tack, had the people and relevant. So that performance, it wasn't Sinatra that night. I'd seen him prior years of Martin and like Sammy Davis Jr., but it was Rickles that night that stole the show for me. He was unfreaking believable. He was caustic. He was just he was
good.
great.
You can't do it anymore. You cannot do that. And in fact, probably the closest thing, and someone may write in and say I'm incorrect, but
who cares?
The closest thing we've got to that is probably a Sacha Baron Cohen, someone who just reflects society back at you. Rickles did it in a very quick 1-2, 1-2 manner, but you can't do that today.
Why? See,
because there are
the fact that you have to even preface what you say. And you're doing it rightfully so, by the way. But the fact that both of us, and it's my show, and I know that I can't go there on I can't say my indifference toward all kinds of things because I'm labeled if you're indifferent because it's not a problem for me. If people are not a problem for me, and I'm a realtor, if people are not a problem for me on anything, they're who they love, who they believe is their deity. If those things aren't a problem for me, if I don't choose a side, then I'm a problem. If my indifference is back then, the indifference was like the comedy of it all, right? We don't care. We'll offend everybody. We don't care. You can't do that anymore.
No,
indifference is the problem because you haven't chosen the side, and if you don't choose the right side, then half the freaking people out there hate you. Drives me insane.
Well, from an entertainment standpoint, that's obviously why I back away from it, and why.
And I get that. I respect that.
And why
you have to.
I mean, I suppose the broad answer, the zooming out a level answer to that question.
I'm not going to offer you one.
Yeah, I still have one that's I'm good. The zooming out a level and really looking at the other side of the hand. Answer to that is. And I don't wish to go anywhere political, but you and I have led, relatively speaking, privileged lives.
Yep, no question.
And there are people that are going through things that we could never imagine. And,
Absolutely.
And there's no amount of explanation that could explain that could allow us to step behind that curtain and figure it out. And so, we look at it from a perspective and say, man, it's just funny. Why isn't lighten up?
Right.
And they look at it from a perspective.
It hurts.
That says, well, when am I allowed to say it's not okay?
Yeah, it hurts. Right.
You know?
Right. Well, I had Tom McGallis on, and Tom is you would love Tom. You and Tom would be two kindred souls. Maybe I'll arrange that someday. He is he's an abstract artist from Pittsburgh, believe it or not. Many years in Pittsburgh, now he's in Cleveland.
It's okay. We still like you, Tom.
Yeah, we love you, Tom.
I have an uncle in Cleveland. He has most of his teeth.
Most of his teeth. Cha-ching. But he is always on and a very, very thoughtful guy. Very talented artist. Does the voiceovers for like multiple cartoons. Like Captain Caveman, that's him. And
cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Cool.
But we went kind of deep into this subject, and he was more, I think, more passionate probably because for multiple reasons. He was convinced though as a stand-up he kind of like moved away from his stand-up stuff and just concentrated on art because he was just no matter what he said I think Tom's probably center left to me, but he goes, Eric, no matter what I say I'm going to offend somebody, and everybody's uber. It's like having like I have suffered from tinnitus.
Sure.
So they call it uber acoustics. Like things really are like sensible.
Yeah.
Well, he goes, in life, I think now we're kind of being dialed into being uber sensitive to everything. Whereas something that passed like 20 years ago as humor now will offend somebody. He goes, I don't want to offend anybody. But the sad part about it is I can't go to the areas I used to go to make people laugh because I can't do it. And so me being 53 and on this earth 20 years longer than you, I remember George Carlin.
Right.
I remember Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, and they would offend you. I mean, if you could be offended,
Right.
But it was fucking funny.
Right.
And now you can't go there because although your intent is genuine, not to hurt anybody, just to laugh, you can't go there because someone's going to be looking to be offended. Do you feel
Right.
that way at all?
I think that there are definitely people that don't necessarily look for problems, but maybe they decided when they woke up that morning that they were going to just have a bad day.
So then when you exacerbate social media, giving everyone a somewhat little platform,
Well, on social,
is it exacerbated?
Social media is different. You have remember what I was saying before about I wouldn't do stand-up comedy. I got nothing to hide behind.
Okay.
Well, when you're talking about social media, there's a huge mask.
No question.
You know, you and I could get into an argument on social media, and I would say things to you via. I mean, I wouldn't, but you know,
No, I get
you'd
it.
say things.
Keyboard warrior.
Yeah, exactly. That I may or may not say to your face. Now, one of my
Right.
best friends in the whole world is he'll shoot you straight, and he will he'll tell you, not only will he tell you that you're wrong, he'll tell you why you're wrong, and he'll do it in triplicate and
Got it.
with his sources cited. You know, and he's,
Life's too short, man.
you know,
I mean, too much going on in my life to sit and worry about. But at the same time, look. And how do you do that as a comedian? Because to me, there's the overt hatred and overt nonsense that could actually really harm somebody.
Sure.
And then there's that level where you're touching on stereotypes or whatever. And again, the stereotypes that Richard Pryor could talk about in '77 a lot of them are no longer there. You can't go there.
Right.
Am I right?
right. Well, you know, you used to be able to smoke inside too.
Good point.
You know, smoking was cool.
We've progressed as a society.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, smoking
Right.
was cool.
Yeah.
That was the thing. The thing
Hey, he
was
used to
the-
smoke on airlines.
The
for God's sake.
Marlboro man. Yeah, right. If you sit
He was
here,
a
it's a
bad-
smoking
He
section.
was a
If you-
badass, though. The
Yeah.
Marlboro one was a badass.
If you sit here, it's a smoking section. But back here, one row back, 12 inches.
It's
no longer
smoke-free.
Yeah. Jeez.
No, I get it. We progressed, and I think oftentimes it gets couched in what would be good for kids. And I get that. Sometimes we forget, though, society, there's kids in their minds, and then there's adults in their
Right.
minds, and there should be a separation there. I think so. But, Tom was worried about, he wanted to go. I think he made mention that he would like to go back into comedy, but he doesn't know where the rules are anymore. He doesn't know where the fences lie. He doesn't know where the guidelines are anymore, and he's so worried about upsetting somebody because he's a very well-natured, laid-back guy. But there's always those question marks. And he's probably my age, so he's probably mid-50s. So it's a different generation, but it's not like it was. And probably in some regards, that's a good thing.
Right.
And in some regards, it's a fucking bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, I have said for a long time that political correctness is killing comedy. Now, that being said,
Loaded question. That's a loaded statement.
yeah, I've always worked clean.
Mm-hmm.
I've always worked clean, and I don't offer a political viewpoint in my show.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I don't watch other comedians and try to
Sure.
learn from them, and you see
Sure.
people all of a sudden start buttoning up because they're not allowed to talk about these hot button topics. And I should revise that statement
Okay.
to say political correctness is changing comedy.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
for the good or bad. Who knows?
That is what remains
More
to be
laughter
seen.
or less laughter?
Yeah.
I would say less laughter.
You know, my grandfather used to say, if you, as it pertained to curse words,
Sure.
Oh, can't you use your brain and think of something more clever to say?
It's good advice. It's kind of good advice, though. Cosby did it.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of where he ended up.
sure,
I mean, I'm not going to believe me. I'm
Yeah.
not making it legitimate that he did anything good in his private life.
Right.
But how he was able to make folks laugh equally as good as Carlin or Pryor in the same area.
sure, Sinbad,
Yeah, good guy. Yeah.
Sinbad, clean.
Yeah.
These guys are
Well,
squeaky
Seinfeld
clean.
was too, for the most
Seinfeld
part.
was clean, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it can be done.
Well, languages, going back to this theater I worked at in Kansas, we had a we had a
You're in Kansas.
yeah, we had a what do you call it? A swear
Bob
jar?
Dole's state.
Not a swear jar, but we had
Sure.
we had an allotment
Understood.
of curse words that we
Understood.
were allowed to get away with.
That's Bob Dole's state.
And we had to use them gently.
Yeah.
And so we could say damn, we couldn't say goddamn. We could say ass, we couldn't say asshole. We could
Understood.
Shit.
That's a bridge word.
That was the one.
Uh-huh.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, shit is one of the funniest
No question.
words
No question.
when
Appropriate.
perfunctorily
Yes.
used.
Yes.
Is perfunctory the right one?
That's
Whatever.
a word. Yeah,
it's,
probably.
When used appropriately. Now, if you just, what the shit is this and shit and blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Anything gets overdone.
Absolutely. So the artistic director of the theater literally was like, we get one a season.
Nice.
If it's necessary.
Use it
if
right.
it's necessary.
Use it appropriately.
And we did this, I will never forget, we did this show called Moon Over Buffalo. It was about this family that traveled around and they acted, they were actors, and they either did Cyrano de Bergerac or Noel Coward's Private Lives. Those were the two shows
Okay.
that they did.
Okay.
And the main actor got drunk one night and he's like, but I've got to make the show. And he puts on the costume for Cyrano and everything, and he walks on stage and they're in the middle of Private Lives.
Oh my God.
And the humor comes from, obviously,
No doubt.
the cast that's on stage trying to explain him away to the audience. Right? He's the elephant trying to explain this
No
away.
doubt.
And at one point, the girl, his daughter actually is like, Daddy, look. And he looks down and he sees like his codpiece or whatever
Right.
in his nose, and he looks up and he goes, shit. And that moment of realization is such
I
a
bet.
strong, and that was our one.
Oh yeah.
And
it was
every
gone.
single night, the audience, we didn't get a single letter about it.
Got it.
Not a single
No,
letter.
I get it. I get
Right?
it.
But there were other times where people would write and say,
Yeah.
well, we didn't appreciate this
Yeah.
or that or the other thing. And that was maybe because in the script it could be viewed as more gratuitous
Yeah.
than necessary.
Yeah.
I suppose it's all
It's interpretation. man.
interpretation. It's all it's hard to offend me.
Yeah, me too. Well, no, so wait. Interesting comment. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that, by the way. 20 years difference to us.
Sure.
You can't offend me. I don't give a flying fuck what you say to me. You can call me every name. You can call my mother names, my kids' names, my wife's name. I don't care.
Okay.
'Cause guess what? It's words.
Because the
Now-
Athletics play like little sissies.
Yeah, you motherfucker. my point though is I just by taking I made the decision decades ago,
Sure.
probably in the 80s, that if I read it in the book, if you take a life that you cannot be offended, that pretty much nothing can touch you in terms of interfering with what your goals are.
Sure.
I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, I've gotten angry a couple times, but I kept it to myself.
yeah.
The point is, though, if you take that standpoint where being offended is almost like it's a sign of weakness. Now, again, I'm a white male in America.
Right.
So my perspective is
Very limited. Your scope is terribly limited. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I am open to others' ideas, and I definitely don't look down upon anyone who is offended for any reason. If I ever did, and I have on occasion offended folks, but they've been kind enough to tell me why.
Sure.
I will take that into, and I haven't always agreed. Sometimes I have. The point is,
Well, you don't get to say I don't. If I come to you and I say you offended me, you don't get to say no, I didn't.
No, that's not what I
Right?
mean.
You know what?
No,
But
no. You're right,
and that's great.
No, I can't speak to what you
Right.
feel.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
But what I believe to be true or not, whether I think you're being a pussy or not, it's another story. I'm just saying. But you're right. I can, and none of us should ever dictate how anyone should feel.
Right.
But the point is, I've been able to sit back and say, well, that's just like wasn't the intent wasn't there, and da da da. But in the end, it doesn't matter. If someone is offended, I guess, by what I said, that I want to make amends. That's just my nature. I want to do
Right.
that, even if I don't like the person.
Sure.
I want to make amends. But where does that leave us in terms of entertainment? I mean, like you're a musician, you're also an entertainer, so you're live, you're there doing it head to head, face to face. So you're in Hollywood, everything's scripted, it's edited, it's overdubbed. You have none of that. If you fuck up one night, really, I mean, that could ruin your career. If you think about it, if you have one bad exchange with a heckler, right? Michael Richards,
Kramer.
Remember that nonsense?
Yep.
And he was wrong. I listened to that. He was out of his.
He was wrong.
What the hell was he doing?
Well, that was fight or flight.
Okay.
That was fight or flight. I mean, he was totally wrong, but he started to get attacked. He
defended his territory,
and he was defending his territory, and he just did it in the wrong way.
Right.
He was wrong. He was wrong.
One bad decision can ruin it for you. So you guys have to be guarded. Then you're guarded to some degree.
Look, I have to hope that if I'm ever put in a position where I have to deal with a heckler or a heckle or something, because that's it. Because my show is scripted.
Yeah.
My show is scripted. I could show it to you. I could hand you the script. You could watch my show and follow along.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose where that leaves me in particular, I can't speak for anybody else.
Sure.
But I just have to hope that when I'm put in that situation, that morals and common sense will prevail, and that's it.
And it has at this point.
Thus far, sure.
Yeah.
And if I can, I can see how I don't know. I choose to again look at it from the other side. Why are you?
That's a great example, by the way.
How did you get here? Why are you feeling that you have to? Well, what's the other side of the coin? Well, you're blitzed out of your mind.
Yep.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
Maybe there is certainly something that's going on that I have no idea.
He's not talking about me at this moment, by the way.
Yeah, right. Maybe I have no idea.
Right.
I have no idea. You have no idea. You have no idea what anyone else's journey is other than your own.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I choose to react in the moment, hopefully, will be the stand-up correct way to do it.
So I'll close it with this to kind of bridge what you just said. There's 20 years between us, but I will tell you what I love about what I see now is that I love the younger generations, both of them, as media will identify them, yours and the one below you.
Sure.
Because there's an openness, there's a frankness, and as an older person, I always think, well, you're naive. No, it's not naive. There's just a difference of there's a fresh perspective.
Sure.
And I think shame on us at our point not to understand that, number one, y'all gonna be running the world, number one, so we better be nice to you, and you'll probably be taking care of us when we're retired as well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we're in a more open society, and yes, with that openness and with that different kind of thought comes, you know what? There's gonna be some people that are saying, hey, that's not right. What Richard Pryor said in '78. While maybe funny to that generation's, no, it doesn't translate anymore.
Right.
So there's got to be some validation in that stuff. And I think I'm open enough to get that.
Right.
I just hope that we don't get so sterile and people aren't looking to be so offended that we don't take humor out of life, because laughter is everything.
It's the best medicine.
Yeah.
If I can't make it funny, I won't do it.
How about that?
Do it. I can't do it. I will do it, but I will have been funny just prior to it.
Got it.
If I can't, if I can't figure it out, life. There's so many serious things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
some of it's all nonsense anyway.
Sure, but it doesn't matter. I don't get to tell you what's important.
Absolutely right.
And so,
absolutely
because of that, I'm here as an entertainer.
Yep.
I want to see
You're
that.
an escape.
I'm an escape. I am the impossible dream that you came to see. Like my uncle said, I don't need to see that. If I want to see that, I'll go out on my back porch.
That's a sad commentary on what he dealt with, right?
Yeah. Well, and he's I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. He said to me verbatim, your aunt saved, I had there's no reason that she should have gone with me, quote unquote, like they used to say. We're going together.
Yeah.
There's no reason. I was one of these kids from this side of the tracks.
Right.
She changed my life.
Yeah.
And you look at that, and now I have the perspective,
sure,
of being able to say, "Oh, I get it now." And honestly, what we were talking about when we were disagreeing about Sweeney Todd was apples and oranges.
No question.
He was talking about the theme of the show, the overarching feeling of the show.
What I thought too.
I was talking
gore,
about
the story,
the art, the music, the lyrics. How oh my God, it's incredible.
And his generation, my generation, couldn't probably get there. We couldn't get through some of the hard part of that, right?
Yeah, but the other point of it is my background is in theater, so that's how I look at things.
Sure.
My glasses are not, I wouldn't say rose tinted, but they are.
And Michael, I'll end it in this way. What I love about your generation, the generation coming up behind you, is you guys, you gals, can see more than we are. I honestly feel that even when we were younger, we were raised in a very narrow scope, narrow optic kind of life.
Sure.
And shame on us if we can't understand that who is coming up behind us now in this world to keep America great is actually seeing things on a broader base.
Right.
Shame on us. It's and yes, we're going to have to make some sacrifices. Yes, some things that were funny in the 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, you know what, it doesn't fly today. We have to understand, look, it's not right anymore.
Right.
But at the same time, we hope that there's brevity. Is that right? We make sure it's not an overreach, and we still keep humor and entertainment and magic available.
Sure.
We don't wax it all out as being, well, that might offend one person living in Iowa with this condition. I mean, we have to be somewhat rational, right? I mean,
right. Well, if I can look at life and I can make fun of situations that I encounter, and my situations are different than anyone else's, just like yours are different than mine.
Sure.
Just like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And so I look at it every night as my job is to walk out on stage and make you happier than you were when you sat down.
Absolutely.
And hopefully I can do that. I could be happy to demonstrate with a trick. Would you like
Let's
to see
do
a trick?
it. Absolutely. I'm waiting for it. Yep.
All right. Well, you know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to do the cups and balls.
I just thought it was funny sounding.
I know.
That's all I said.
I know, but I'm going to do it for you.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna present it for you. This is one of the ways I close my show on the ship.
All right, it's apropos.
Yeah,
and by the way, this has been great. Thank you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure to be here.
This has been great.
It's been my absolute pleasure to be here.
And for those listening on audio, you must go seek out on YouTube and ericmckenna.com, Vimeo, seek out the visual version of the show.
Oh yeah. So the cups and balls, I'm gonna stand up. Yeah, I don't know if we need to adjust
hold on.
anything.
We're gonna fix that. Hold on.
Yeah. We'll be right back after these messages.
No, this is live, buddy.
All right.
All good.
No, don't zoom in on that. That's no bueno.
All right, you're good.
All right. So,
Do I have to stand up?
Do you have to stand up?
No.
No. Well,
Okay.
maybe at the end if you liked it. I don't know.
Yeah. But for now, I'm good.
For now, you're good. I don't know how this is. I've never done this attached to so many wires before.
You're good, man. You're good.
But all right, let me get that behind my.
You got to rise above.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. All right, we'll figure it out. All right, so the cups and balls is the oldest trick in recorded magic history. It is. This is no bullshit.
Okay.
Oldest trick in recorded magic history.
All
Court
right.
jesters used to perform this trick for the pharaohs to entertain their
the
families.
pharaohs.
They did. It uses 3 cups, 3 balls, and a magic wand. Now, the cups and balls is sort of a rite of passage for magicians.
Okay.
It is, in fact, a rite of passage for magicians. Any
bag
magician worth their salt understands how to perform this trick. What you're about to see is my version. In fact, the cups and balls was actually printed on in the hieroglyphics of the pyramids in Egypt. In fact, if there are any Egyptologists listening today, you understand that cups and balls is spelled beetle, sideways guy, snake. That's how you spell it. Yeah.
Okay.
It was so popular, it was printed in the hieroglyphics. So popular, it was printed in the lower glyphics. It was all over the place. But the cups and balls, 3 cups, 3 balls,
all right,
and a magic wand.
All right, let's go.
Okay, now the magic wand is the most important part of the trick. It represents the magician's power. You can take the wand, give it a squeeze, and you get a little baseball there at the tip of the wand. That is for cup number 1. A little baseball, that's right. That's for cup number 1. For cup number 2, you take the wand, give it a spin and a tap. You get a little baseball right there at your fingertips.
All right, okay.
You can actually take the wand, use it to perform more than one type of magic. In the effect, you can actually tap some magic on top of the center cup, and solid will go straight through. Solid. That's an impossible penetration. Impossible. Doesn't work that way. That's not real. It didn't happen. You didn't see it. It didn't happen. Impossible. That's ball number 1 for cup number 1. Ball number 2 for cup number 2.
Okay.
For cup number 3, I just take the wand, spin it once, twice, tap, and you get the third ball right where you want it, on top of the third cup. That's 3 balls. That's all 3 balls.
Okay.
All right. We'll try it
And
again.
they're threaded to their baseballs.
That's right. In fact, now a lot of people get nervous. They think this is sort of like the 3-shell game, like I'm going to try to take your money. Not the case. I'll show you how it works. Yeah, that's fine. What you do is you put the first ball in your hand, then you take the wand, you push the wand through the hand, then the ball disappears. That's number 1. I'll do it again with cup number 2.
That's wrong.
I know. I'll do it again with cup number 2. Here's the ball. We'll do it exactly the same way, just a little different with a spin and a tap. That ball disappears.
Oh, come on.
I'll do it again with the third one. And this time I will leave my hand open so that you can see the moment that this ball disappears. That's 1.
Okay, the hell out
That's 2. That's 3. That's 3 balls under each cup. That's ball number 1 under cup number 1. Ball number 2 under cup number 2. Ball number 3 under cup number 3. Now,
Oh, man.
I'm going to ask you if you'd like to pick a cup. Eric, pick a cup. Cup number 1, cup number 2, cup number 3. In
2.
Spanish, that's uno, dos, tres.
Dos.
In French, that's un, deux, trois. In
Dos.
German, that's eins, zwei, drei.
Dos.
In Japanese, that's ichi, ni, san.
Dos.
In Roman, that's I. I'd say...
Dos.
Dos. Okay. We'll take the ball out from middle underneath the second cup, put it on the end of the wand, and put it where? Under cup 1 or 3? It's up to you.
3.
Under cup number 3. We'll take it for a little walk over to cup 3 if it worked. Should be gone from there. There should be 2 over there. That's your choice. Good call, man.
That's bullshit.
I know. I'll do it
bullshit.
again. I'll do it again.
That's bullshit.
I know what you're thinking. What if you would have picked cup number 1? I'll take the ball invisibly out from underneath cup number 2. Put it over here under cup number 1 if it worked. Should still be 1 there. None there. 2 over there. Now I know what you're thinking. Here's the thing. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, sure, what's all this 1 and 3 nonsense? I picked cup number 2. I do cup 2 differently. See, now that's gone. That's gone. And they're all together in the center.
Bullshit.
They're all together in the center. Now, I'll tell you what. How are we going to end this? I understand that it's a little difficult for you to follow. There's 3 cups, 3 balls, 2 hands, 10 fingers, a magic wand. Someone put the idiot on a microphone. It's a lot. I'll make this as easy for you as I can. Watch. That's 1. Just with the tip of the wand. That's 2.
Right.
That's 3. I'll even put down the wand. And then I'll take the first ball, put it away into the pocket. And I'll take the second ball, put it away into the pocket. And I'll take the third ball, put it away into the pocket. Am I moving too fast?
No.
For you? Okay, because if I was, I could do it again.
Bullshit.
You take the first ball, put it
Bullshit.
away into the pocket.
Bullshit.
Do you want me to slow it down further? I take the second ball,
Bullshit.
put it away into the pocket. Slower. Slower, you take the third ball, put it away into the pocket. Now look, would you be impressed if I could take this ball, make it disappear, and then reappear under any cup you named? Watch, I'll just take it with a little blow. And the ball disappears. It's gone completely. I'm kidding, it's right here. It's right here. Thought I sucked it into my... That's not, it's right here. Now, if I would take this ball, make it disappear, and reappear under any cup you named, would that be impressive?
Yes.
I can't do that.
Okay.
No,
3.
I can't. Because all I have to do is snap. And when I snap, well, you never know what'll turn up.
3.
You get it? Oh, 3? Cup number 3. Turn up. See? That's a turn up.
What?
That's a lime. That's
Get the fuck out of
that's
here.
a potato. That's the baseball. That's the cups and balls.
God.
That's the
Oh
cups
my
and
God,
balls,
dude.
man.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Michael Misko. The magic of Michael Misko. Thank you, pal.
You're very welcome.
This is
It's
amazing.
been my pleasure.
And how can they contact you?
You can get to me. I'm online at miskomagic.com. MISKOMAGIC magic. MiskoMagic.com. You could find me on Facebook, The Magic of Michael Misko. Misko
Yes,
Magic.
connect with
any
him
of
on
that.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Facebook is great. At Misko Magic will get you right to me. And you can email me at michael@miskomagic.com. I would love to work for you and your company.
Yeah. And you're starting to do corporate gigs
Yeah,
now, right?
I am working with corporations now, which is I'm working as goodwill ambassadors with corporations.
Good for you.
Which is really interesting. It's really cool. I'm for them I act as an audience engagement specialist.
I love that phrase. He is
I
an audience engagement specialist.
Well, I help companies, corporations connect with their people in a good, fun, meaningful, and more importantly,
Absolutely.
Memorable way. And
it's been a friggin' it's been an honor, and it's been a really good, awesome time today.
I've had a great time.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
Again,
Eric.
Michael Misko.
My pleasure.
Eric McKenna Project. MichaelMisko.com. Facebook, Michael Misko. Right?
MiskoMagic.com.
Misko Magic.
You go to
excuse me.
michaelmisko.com. You don't know what you're going to see. Those were years ago. I was in college. I needed the money. It was
so
a thing.
MiskoMagic.com.
Yeah, it's-
All right, fair enough. We'll see y'all. God bless.